It is that time. It's a Friday, which means that we get you ready for the weekend and all the things. But, of course, we have to start anything and everything weekend-based one way and one way only. And you know what that way is. If things were to behave, maybe, perhaps. It's like all I want to do is hit a button. Oh, it's going to be like this today. All right. I see how this goes. Oh, okay, so it's going to be like that. Oh, okay, that's intriguing to say the very least. And it's not even letting me. Wow. Now it gives it to me after 30 seconds of thinking about it.
Come on, man. Go for it, dude.
It's Friday. Friday. Friday.
After things load, it's Friday here on SDH AM. John here, you there. As always, thanks for coming by, as you always do. It's going to be interesting because we got a lot of stuff to get into. And I mean a lot of stuff to get into. Because Manchester is our lead, and it's both red and blue for various reasons. Then you've also got what's going on with Major League Soccer. It's another weekend where we catch up with all of our friends there. And the beautiful thing about that is there's a lot of different things to get into where it is concerned. And so from that, we get to hear from some of the voices of Major League Soccer. Basically, what we wanted to do was have a show of chaos where I don't know who's coming in. Folks are coming in. I know who some of them are. But we'll find out who else is going to be wandering in. And we will sit there, and it'll be incredibly intriguing to get the storylines of everything that are going on this weekend. So you've got that to get into today. And there's a lot to get into where Major League Soccer is concerned, considering it is the last match day before the World Cup break. And so we'll have that to get into. I do know that we're going to have folks starting in about 20 minutes. And I do know that Sammy Sadovnik, Jessica Charman, Nacho Garcia, Nate Bukaty, they're going to be going back to back. Starting at 9:30. Sammy Sadovnik, 9:30. Jess at 9:45. I found something that Jess really might cringe at. But we've also got to talk to Jess about the Three Lions announcement today. Folks are sitting there saying, oh, I don't know, Thomas Tuchel made a mistake here, there, and everywhere. So we'll find out what she has to think about that announcement as well. She is in Charlotte for that matchup. Then at 10 o'clock, Nacho Rivera, we get to break the seal on his visits here on the morning show. Nate Bukaty, we finally get to talk about Nate and his book. So that's at 10:30. And like I said, I don't know what else is going to happen. We could have folks drifting in 10 and 15-minute intervals and coming in and out, and it could be, whomever. I imagine once Bukaty has now been announced, Devon Kerr might come in at 10:30 or 10:45 or something like that, which reminds me, just as a public service, what I may do is this. Let's see. If you're not in a Delta Club, or if you are, let's see. Let's see. So Nate is 10:15, and so it's. Oh, okay. So there you go. So I let Devon Kerr know. So just on the interest of equal time for that broadcast pairing. So also we've got to get into what's going on down at the National Training Center. the Arthur M. Blank U.S. Soccer National Training Center, the Adapt and Thrive Invitational. We have highlights from the match that happened yesterday involving the men's CP and the historic moment that's attached to that. There's a reason we're running those highlights. It's because Maddie and Jason are calling the match tonight on campus, Stuart Sharp's 100th cap as head coach for the CP men's national team. We've got highlights from yesterday. We'll get you into today. Got to get into the UPSL, let you know what's happening this weekend. One team in particular is going crazy nuts and is distancing themselves from everybody. We'll get into that, and we'll hear a little bit of the Back Pass podcast program with Andre Bomar. We'll get into that in hour number 3. We got to talk Spokane. We got to talk CONCACAF. We're going to talk Atlanta United because the MLS Next tournament is happening in Utah. We catch up with both the Director of Methodology, Javier Lopez, and the U16 coach, Colby Childress, and it is catching up with them. Javi about where things stand with all the U teams chasing after championships and getting his thoughts about where things are, and then catching up with Colby as everybody's heading out west. So there's that. We got to get into what's going on in England involving Southampton, Spokane Zephyr. We got to get into that. So, yeah, there's a lot to get into. And that's where we are this morning. Plus your thoughts as well on the weekend. We're going to have juice boxes. We're going to have all the things. Morning Ricky. So that's where we are. There's a lot to get into. And I thought about playing the Jerry Reed song, but that might get us in trouble. 49 years ago in 2 days, Smokey and the Bandit was released. Crazy to think about. Okay. Opening kickoff brought to us by our friends at Black Pitch Coffee and blackpitchcoffee.com. Starting your day with the most important stories in the game, the right way to start your morning. Black Pitch Coffee, part of the SDH community, showing up at events all over Atlanta. Try their home blend made from beans from Brazil and Guatemala, heavy body, notes of walnut, semi-sweet chocolate, rich world-class finish. Opening kickoff powered by Black Pitch Coffee and blackpitchcoffee.com. Pep Guardiola, it's officially official. And he is hanging them up. He is going to continue as an ambassador and for the City Football Group. And you have the end of it. This literally is the end of an era. So 2016, 2017, Pep Guardiola goes to Manchester. They would finish third in the Premier League, knocked out by Monaco in the Champions League round of 16. First time you get a trophy. Then it's 2017, 2018. You become Centurions. You bring in Bernardo Silva, Kyle Walker, and Ederson. Everything in place. 2 points were dropped in the first 20 matches. Liverpool, they get beat early on. 106 goals, 100-point mark, 19 points clear of Manchester United. That was 2017, 2018. 2018-19, you win the domestic treble. 98 points, 95 goals followed. Then you have City winning their final 14 matches on their way to lifting League Cup and FA Cup. Spurs eliminate City in the Champions League quarters, by the way, 2018-2019. So then in COVID-19-20, 18 points adrift to Liverpool that year. Really weird season, obviously, with COVID. 2 legs of the Champions League, last 16, played 4 months apart. Aggregate win over Real Madrid. Losing to Lyon in a one-off quarterfinal in Lisbon. League Cup win over Aston Villa. 2021, you bring in Ruben Diaz. You win the league 12 points ahead of Manchester United. League Cup goes into the cabinet. Champions League trophy was there. Got to the final facing Chelsea. And Guardiola, once again, Kai Havertz goal. Once again, a frustrating ending in Champions League. 21-22. You needed to win against Aston Villa to get a 4th title. Gundogan and Rodri, space of 5 minutes, turn everything around. The Champions League exit, losing 6-5 on aggregate to Real Madrid next to extra time. 22-23, you finally win in Europe. Erling Haaland, 52 goals, all comps. Champions League final knockout stages, beaten 14-0 in aggregate at the Etihad. Against Inter and Istanbul, Rodri gets Guardiola the victory. 23-24, you get your 6th English title. Real Madrid once again knocks off City in penalties in the quarters of the Champions League. FA Cup final losing to Manchester United at Wembley. 24-25, once again you get a changing of the guard, losing to Crystal Palace in the FA Cup. No major trophies there. And then in 25-26, you end up with the League Cup final, FA Cup, and Madrid beat you in Europe, winning in the last 16. 20 trophies in 10 years for Pep Guardiola. Big press conference this morning. The stand that is finished in construction is going to be named for him. They are building a statue. Morning, Michael. So Manchester City bringing in Enzo Maresca by all indications. He's, do you want to be the man to replace the man, or do you want to be the man to replace the man that replaced the man? We're going to find that out. So Enzo Maresca gets to take over, probably, possibly, we're fairly certain. But Pep Guardiola hanging him up. And if you have not seen the 3.5-minute ode that he gave, it was well done. A lot of things released today were very well done. And Pep Guardiola is wrapping him up at Manchester City. Obviously, he's going to be an ambassador, global ambassador. Talked together, quote, and I said, I'd love to continue to be part of this club, not as manager. I will take zero decisions, but to represent this club and organization, I will be there. I like to still be a part of this club in a different role, not in daily decision or spotlight, but behind the scenes, I would like to be a part of that. And so the global ambassador role, Manchester City say, quote, the role will see him giving technical advice to the clubs in the group working on specific projects and collaborations. So now you're looking at, can you imagine Pascal Janssen getting advice from Pep Guardiola? That obviously now is a possibility. So you could have something like that happening in City Football Group. But hanging them up, Pep Guardiola season by season, 20 trophies in 10 years. And not to be outdone, before that announcement came out, and this was when a lot of us were waking up this morning, not to be outdone, Manchester United, they finally did name Michael Carrick as permanent manager, one of the easiest decisions on this or any other planet, considering the run that he was on when he came in the door. So, 2-year deal, confirming the appointment ahead of the Brighton match, wins 11 of his first 16. And as more and more had happened in a row, you're sitting there going, yeah, you better do this. And Manchester United did it, finally giving Michael Carrick the 2-year deal, so he is now in charge. Athletic reported last week that they'd reached a broad agreement for Carrick to become the club's new permanent head coach after Sir Jim Ratcliffe gave the green light following an executive committee meeting. Morning, David. In which Chief Exec Omar Barada, Director of Football Jason Wilcox made the recommendation for Carrick to get the full-time job. And they had the standard announcement. The screaming that you heard probably at 6:30 this morning was our Drew Dickinson. Carrick, in a prepared statement, from the moment I arrived here 20 years ago, I felt the magic of Manchester United. Carrying the responsibility of leading our special football club fills me with immense pride. Throughout the past 5 months, this group of players have shown they can reach the standards of resilience, togetherness, and determination that we demand here. Now it's time to move forward together with ambition and a clear sense of purpose. Manchester United and our incredible supporters deserve to be challenging for the biggest honors again. So that's officially official. So Michael Carrick is in. Pep Guardiola is hanging him up. And so Manchester today is both red and blue. But full credit to Manchester United for doing this before the Manchester City announcement and the gravity that was attached to it. So you've got that going for you, and it'll be, incredibly. I am intrigued. Now I know that once again that is a shock, but being intrigued, how Enzo Maresca is going to do, what the turnover is going to be at Manchester City, what the investment's going to be at Manchester United, or is Michael Carrick basically just going to be sit there and it's like, okay, dude, here you go. You did great with what we gave you, so keep doing great with what we gave you. I am intrigued by the level of investment that we could see with Manchester United and with Manchester City and Manchester United. I am intrigued across the board. What's it going to look like next year? That is going to be the big question. Very, very cool stuff there. So we will see what it looks like. 'Cause, 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 in all of this with Manchester and Manchester City. You're getting teams kind of drifting in still, and they're making their announcements when it comes to their World Cup squads. And like I said, when Jess Charman joins us in about 25 minutes, we get to find out what she thinks about the World Cup squad announcement. The video using the music of the Beatles, obviously very cool. Well-produced video, about 2.5 minutes. It's on social media. Phil Foden, Cole Palmer out. Ivan Toney, Ollie Watkins in. Harry Kane, Morgan Rogers make the cut. Kobe Mainu, Livramento, Noni Madueke, John Stones in. So Luke Shaw missed out. Levi Caldwell missed out. Dominic Calvert-Lewin missed out. Ezri Konsa expected to be included. So you had your you had the video once again. Nice 2.5-minute piece. And obviously those names were probably the ones on the board as we were looking. Should Lewis Hall have been included? One of the big questions. Jared Bowen left out. People wondering what the realistic target is now for England. And so with England's announcement, that's the larger points. Let's see. So they make an announcement, but by the way, and Harry Maguire, who came in early and said, well, I wasn't named. Then Thomas Tuchel was like, well, maybe he's a bit surprised, but you could see the reason that Harry Maguire came out publicly. Tuchel said, we had a private conversation, had a chance to express his feelings, which is fair enough. We stood firmly with our central defenders who carried us from September to November. And so Harry Maguire, he aired out he had the grievances. He literally had the public grievances. He was the airing of the grievances, and the only thing missing was the working around the maypole. So the full squad for England: Henderson, Pickford, Trafford in net. Dan Burn gets a nod at defense. Gahey, Reece James, Ezri Konsa, Livramento. Nico O'Reilly is in. Jarrell Quansah, Jed Spence, John Stones. Midfield: Elliot Anderson, Bellingham, Jude, Eze, Jordan Henderson, Mainu, Rice, Rogers. Forwards: Gordon, Kane, Madueke, Rashford, Saka, Toney, and Ollie Watkins. And so now, no Cole Palmer, no Phil Foden. Probably the biggest names that are there. Morning, Bart. So you have all of these different things going on. If you didn't see the Czech video, the Czech national team video, it's awesome. They had video of them playing the sport as kids, mixed with the announcement of the players. So very, very cool stuff. Teams are getting really imaginative when it comes to announcing the national teams. If I'm not mistaken, the U.S. gets theirs announced on Tuesday at a fancy event in New York City. And then I believe they work their way down here to the National Training Center for a couple of days, and then they figure out what they're doing and going from there. So that is that's the early returns anyway on everything that is up. Bart, by the way, episode 144 of the Soccer for US POD is going to be out after our show this morning, and we are going to go along because we have a bunch of different things to get into. So Bart and Thomas give predictions on the World Cup roster, locks, fringe, leaving out. And speaking of leaving out, the word on Chris Richards, and that scream you heard was Bart. Chris Richards, it was, let's see, how do we phrase it? It was not good, and I think it's going to be a race to see if he will be ready for match day one. Because of the diagnosis on the ankle, now you're going to have to worry about the injury that was suffered on the weekend. Not expected to miss the World Cup. 2 torn ligaments in his left ankle 3 weeks before the start of the competition. Oliver Glasner revealed the extent of the injury yesterday. Multiple sources briefed say a return for the Conference League final may be a day or two too soon. They insist the center back is going to be good for the World Cup 100%. Twisted his ankle in a substitute appearance for Palace against Brentford last week. Medical treatment on the pitch, finished the match, came on after an hour, played the final 30. Glasner ruled Richards out of the final Premier League fixture on Sunday against Arsenal, 50-50, whether he returns for the Conference League final against Rayo Vallecano. Glasner had said he tore 2 ligaments. I think it's stable, but quite swollen. We have to deal with the swelling. He has to get back on the pitch to be available. It takes time. He's in from sunrise until sunset, having treatments and everything we can do that reduces the swelling. And, of course, we have a great medical department, so we'll give our best, and he will give his best, and then let's see if we can get it done. So you have on the 31st, after the announcement on Tuesday, Senegal on the 31st, and it is Germany on June 6th in the pre-tournament friendlies. And so we now start the show of chaos. And who better to bat leadoff in a show of chaos than our friend Sammy Sadovnik? I mean, he's our leadoff hitter. Dude, what is up?
Hey, how are you? Hi, John. Good morning.
Morning, sir. You're our leadoff hitter. You are our Rod Carew, our Ricky Henderson when it comes to the show of chaos today. So we wanted to start things off and kind of do preview the weekend a little bit, kind of figure out where we are heading into the World Cup break, this World Cup thing. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's supposed to be a big deal. And just kind of wanted to get your temperature as to what's going on. So this weekend, sir, for those that may not know, where are you going to be stationed and what match are you calling?
I will, well, thanks, first of all, for inviting me, for having me in your show. I will be here at home in Miami in the new stadium with the last game from Leo Messi, Rodrigo de Paul, and hopefully Dane St. Clair before the World Cup break against Philadelphia Union, the former, supporting Shield last year, and now it's one of the worst team of the season.
Yeah. All right. So I'll bite. What in the wide world of sports is going on with Philly?
It's a good question. I mean, 7 games. 7 games in a row without winning. It's tough. I mean, Bradley Carnell. I mean, have to find the way to win again. It's tough because Miami, have the last 3 games, 2 on the road, winning. The first winning in the new stadium, so it will be a tough game for them.
And it's you want. If you're Philly, obviously you're trying to find offense. Bradley Carnell's kind of Jim Curtin-esque when they brought him in. And the same thing that happened in St. Louis, it's like, first time through the batting order, Bradley Carnell, everybody's like, whoa, what am I staring at here? And then the league adjusted, and then it was rough for him in St. Louis City. I feel like I have to say that differently considering it's in all caps. Then he goes to Philly. First time through the batting order in Major League Soccer, everybody's like, whoa, what are we seeing here? And then the league has adjusted again to what they're seeing with Carnell in Philly. And offense. And when you have a team that's kind of predicated on defense and you don't have any offense, them's issues, as the kids say.
Yeah, right. I compare him with the thing that happens with, for example, Jose Mourinho and Marcelo Bielsa. The first season is great, the best, and the second season, they're going down. I don't know if it's the speech in the locker room sometimes happens, and I don't know how long they will keep the Bradley on as a coach of the team, because it's a bad numbers in the start of the season. We saw Austin, we saw Columbus last weekend. They are approaching to the World Cup break. So they are thinking about to change the coaches. I don't like to change the coaches. I prefer to respect the whole process. But I don't know. The numbers are terrible for Philly.
Yep. How long is it going to take you, or has it taken you, to sit there and with the new barn that Inter Miami has, to not get tongue-tied and sit there and say, here in the new stadium, which is factually accurate. And at the same time, it's like it's new stadium, and then it is the new stadium. It's like
sponsored by, right?
How do you keep from getting tongue-tied on that one?
The new and new and new, right? With the sponsorship, but the stadium is really great. That's a state of the art. I mean, very nice. I mean, for our that live here in Miami. First of all, it's close to my house because the other stadium is almost 60 minutes, and here in half an hour I'll be there. There's a traffic there, but it's a very nice stadium. They will build, a five-star hotel or entertainment center, restaurants, all the around the stadium, and the venue is very very nice. My home country Peru will play there with against Haiti. Will be the first national team's friendly game before the World Cup in that stadium. So and they're finally they have the first win last weekend against Portland. So it's very important for them to close with another win against Philadelphia this weekend.
I got to ask about Casemiro because there is a discussion out there in amongst those who talk about the sport that Casemiro might be on his way in. Obviously, they've got to get the rights purchased from LA Galaxy, but Casemiro adding to this mix, like I said, I'm intrigued. I'd love to see how it integrates. I think there are other issues that Inter Miami has to address. See the back line. But bringing in Casemiro, it once again is another big name to be brought in on a free, possibly, probably, possibly, maybe.
Yeah, I don't like to speculate, but I know I have very good information, inside information that the deal is almost done with Casemiro. So it will be a great addition to the Inter Miami roster. I mean, in the middle field with Rodrigo de Paula, probably Gianni Bright. I mean, they have to change the backline. I agree with you, but they need to. I mean, they reorder the numbers because I don't know how Casemiro bring it on the team. In what kind of, I don't know, DP or whatever he thinks, but it's very important to have a Casemiro with his experience in Europe, his experience in Real Madrid, and now with the Premier League. So will be a very good addition to the roster for the rest of the season.
What is it about that back line with Inter Miami? I mean, you got dudes with some of the best flow known to mankind. I mean, it is Valderrama-esque flow that you're seeing at the back, but it's just you got great hair, but there's issues. What is it at the back that's the problem?
Yeah, you're talking about Maxi Falcon, the Uruguayan, right? Yeah, right. I mean, they changed a little bit the last three games. Hoyos played with Mikael, the Brazilian central back, and Gonzalo Lujan. Maxi Falcon was on the bench in the last three games. The problem of Inter Miami, the DNA, it's high pressure when they attack. So the problem is to be back. They need dynamic speed. So sometimes last weekend we saw that with the humid and the heat of Miami. They need to be accurate in that thing, not to portion the third quarter. I mean, they have to be intelligent to keep. I mean, in order the four backs and try to be some time of order, because Fry goes, and he have a problem to return back in his position. So, but this is the DNA of Miami and of this new coach. To the high pressure when they attack.
A lot of folks, when they watch Inter Miami, obviously they are drawn to Lionel Messi. I've heard he's pretty good. All of the big shiny stars and the fancy names. Away from those big name stars, who else for you is just as important that doesn't get a whole lot of press to their success? Who in your mind are like those dudes that we need to be paying more attention to see Inter Miami chasing after a championship?
I said three players. Yannick Bright in the middle field. He's, very smart. He's after Sergio Busquets. He's, a player with a good position. With he goes through the ball with Rodrigo de Paul. The other one is Telasco Segovia. the Venezuelan guy. He assists the last two games for Messi scores, and the third one is a youngster. It's Matteo Silvetti. Now Tadeo Allende have an injury. He was in Barcelona. I think he have a surgery, but I think Matteo Silvetti. He's only 20 years. Telasco Segovia and Janik Bright. Besides the great start that have the game the team.
Do you get a chance during a match to enjoy someone like when you're calling an Inter Miami match? Do you get the chance to enjoy Lionel Messi, or do you consider your enjoyment when you're there calling the match and you see him doing things that would make Nintendo blush when you see what he's able to do?
Now we enjoy a lot. I mean, with or without the ball. I mean, the good thing to be on the pitch, on the stadium, in the booth is you have the whole picture. So it's not the square of the television. So you can see him with and without the ball, the position when he. I mean, when he think about it and anticipate the play. So it's very, very good to have the whole thing with him, with Rodrigo de Paul, with Luis Suarez, with Segovia, and if you can check the face of my color guy Diego Valeri, is amazing. Every time Messi scores a goal, so it's unbelievable. So we feel like that. I mean, that electric thing on the booth.
Yeah, I mean, and are there parts of his game in your mind that we don't appreciate as much as we should?
He's intelligent without the ball. When the position on the pitch. I mean, with the ball, we know he's a star. I mean, an extraterrestrial. But without the ball, he's very intelligent to be in some parts of the pitch, to have the ball without any other guy from the other team. So he's very intelligent for that. I mean, the position on the pitch without the ball.
When it comes to this part of the season where we are, after this weekend, it's the World Cup break. What, I guess, if we played the stoplight game, red light, yellow light, green light, what in your mind for MLS to this point of the season would be a green light, something that you didn't expect that's been really cool, a yellow light, a team that is, a warning sign, either going from good to bad or bad to good, and a red light, a team that you're just like, whoa, man, something's not right here and things have to get fixed? Who would be your green light, your yellow light, and your red light for this point of the season?
Well, the green light, absolutely Nashville and San Jose. I mean, they're for me was a surprise. Have Nashville there because Nashville plays a lot of games in the Conca Champions. So they eliminated Inter Miami. They have a semifinal against Tigres. And also Vancouver, and San Jose, sorry, with the Bruce, a bunch of youngsters in the roster. They lost Cristian Espinosa, Joseph Martinez, Chicho Arango, and they find, Bruce find very good players, in the roster to be, to have a very good first part of the season. On the yellow one, I think. LAFC now, after the Conca Champions, is going down. I mean, they have with Mark a good start, and I don't know what happened after the elimination against Toluca. They going bad and down, and absolutely the red one. It's Columbus, Philly, and Atlanta. I mean, I don't know what happened with the Tata with Atlanta United. We expect more than those kind of teams. I mean, that have a great performance in the last seasons. I mean, Atlanta last season was a mess, but Columbus after Wilfred, now they fired the coach and have Laurent Courtois like an interim. I don't know how long will it take to find a new coach, but I think the red ones are Philly, Columbus, and Atlanta.
what are you most looking forward to with this World Cup thing coming up?
It's it's double X large, the World Cup. I don't like. I mean, 48 teams. They're thinking about 62 on the 2030.
Ah,
It's unbelievable. I mean, it's too much. I think that the World Cup will start in the third round, not even the round of the 32, because we have. I mean, some country. I mean, I think the good things, the good teams, and the good matches will start in the third round. It's strange because it's three countries, 104 games, 4 games per day. I mean, the first 2 days will be a couple of games. I mean, Mexico, South Africa, Korea, Czech Republic. The second day is the US and Canada first game, and then we have 4 games daily. It's amazing for us who love the sport, but I don't know if some games we have the World Cup level, So it's not the quantity, it's the quality of the teams.
you're doing radio, right?
Yeah, every day, Football de Primeras, the last 26 years here.
Crazy.
Yeah, we broadcast the World Cup with a nice team on the radio starting June 11th.
How big is your study book for that? Is it like that big when it comes to all the teams
For the World Cup?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm preparing. I'm just finishing. I mean, with the final roster, we have to, we start the names and the numbers and all the special details. Thank God we will have a referee analyst for us on the radio, Javier Castrilli from Argentina. We have a bunch of great people there, a couple of world champions, Jorge Burruchaga with Argentina and Mexico, 86, Mauro Silva with Brazil here in the States in the 94. We have El Pibe Valderrama, of course, with Colombia, Chicho Serna, Alex Aguinaga from Ecuador, Giovanni Savarese, Steve Sampson. So a very nice bunch of people who will be with us in the broadcasting of the whole World Cup on the radio.
Man, we're going to be knocking on your door a lot to try to bring in guests and everything to cover this World Cup bit. Where are you going to be on Tuesday night?
This coming Tuesday?
Where are you going to be?
New York. Yeah, right. In New York.
I didn't know if you were going or if you were going to stay at home or what.
No, we're going. It's a Memorial Weekend, so we'll fly with my wife on Monday morning. Have a nice theater on Monday night, and then a nice dinner, and prepare for the ceremony the next day.
For those that don't know, the gentleman here on our show this morning is one of the 5 nominees, Outstanding Sports On-Air Personality in Spanish for the National Sports Emmys. It's Andres Cantor, Carolina Guillen, Miguel Gerwitz, Fernando Palomo, and Sammy Sadovnik. We know the Sammy Sadovnik guy. And much like you, I am an ofer in Emmys. It's like 32 years. I'm like the Susan Lucci of the Southeast Emmys, where I've got that many Emmys. So I root for you to win it for all of us who have not gotten the awards, because, and I say this in all genuineness, and if there are ears that are young around you, I beg your forbearance. You've been kicking ass for a long time. And, for those of us that watch the sport and ingest it in all the ways that we do, come on. It's like, let the skies open up, let the sunshine come through, and let it shine on a particular individual. Come on now. It's like, this is our thought. Let it shine down. And Tuesday, I'll be watching and keep an eye on things. I didn't know if you were going or if you were staying at home or going to New York for the Sports Emmys, but congrats on the nom. Get that thing, man.
Thank you so much, John. It's my 5th individual nomination. I've never won. We won a couple of Emmys with the group in the World Cup coverage with Telemundo in Russia and Qatar. But it's an honor, a great honor to be. Between those guys, that are colleagues and friends. One of them is my friend, my mentor, and my boss at the same time. So, so hopefully, well, let's see what happens. Maybe the fifth is the one and the good one.
We hope so. Do not be a stranger, sir. It's great to catch up with you as you head into the last weekend of Major League Soccer before the World Cup. And yes, we will be knocking on your door when it comes to the World Cup, because we're not stopping, because we got stuff to talk about on a daily basis, and I know you
Right.
do too.
The
And
same.
we'll be knocking on your door, and can't wait to find out what's going on. Good luck on Tuesday, man. I really hope it happens.
Thank you so much, John. And we will keep an eye, and we'll still on the road because we have the last two friendly games with the U.S. national team. We are the right holders in Spanish on the radio of the U.S. Soccer. So we have Senegal in Charlotte, and then Germany in Chicago before the World Cup, and then the kick off the World Cup in Mexico against South Africa. So thank you so much for inviting me, John, and for your kindly words for next Tuesday. Thank you so much.
Be good, my friend. We'll see you soon.
Thank you. See you soon, man.
All right, Sammy Sadovnik, hot tag. This means we bring in Jess Charman, and we'll find out what's going on with Jess. I've heard that Jess is in Charlotte. Is this accurate?
Yeah, good morning, John. How are you? Thank you.
I'm doing all right. I found something in my stacks, and I don't know if you remember this.
How could I forget that, John? How could I forget that?
I found this, considering that you are in Charlotte, and the T-shirt as the most annoying voice in radio history.
No longer radio now. I guess most annoying voice in national TV history. I guess now I can tell that guy.
It's all good. So how are you, one of the busiest people in show business?
I'm doing very well. Thank you so much. Yeah, I cannot believe we are at match day 15. I cannot believe we are so close to the World Cup. And I'm also just like happy to be in Charlotte. I think it's one of those where this was the first time last week I flew to Charlotte. This was the first time I did the drive that I did for 3 years when I was the radio voice, or one of the radio voices of Charlotte FC. And I'll tell you, it was such a cool drive going past everything and realizing just from a personal level of growth how far I've come. And I think everyone in life should do something like that, where it kind of brings you back to where you started in this big dream. And it kind of gives you that moment of realization of our lives, right? We can get so caught up on what's next, or we can get so caught up on where we want to continue to grow or continue to go. And doing that drive was a big reminder of like, dang, Jess 3 years ago would have bitten her hand off to be here. And this is like, yeah, a dream come true that I'm getting the opportunities I'm getting this year.
I do want to discuss the matchup against the Revs and for the crown, but we have just as important an issue to discuss with you this morning.
Okay.
Thomas Tuchel has named his World Cup squad, and there are some interesting omissions. There are some interesting names on here. No Cole Palmer, no Phil Foden, no Harry Maguire, no Trent Alexander-Arnold. Ivan Toney is in. And it is an interesting batch at points. Did you get to see this full roster slide, and what'd you think?
Well, I didn't know we were going to talk about this, but I'll say just before we went on, I watched the squad announcement video, which was kind of cool to have the Beatles. So cool squad announcement video. I also watched one of the interviews from Tuchel yesterday, or this morning, I guess it is, where he was talking about, the media asking him, was it hard? Do you have fear leaving these big names players off? And what I liked reading between the lines, and obviously we hear a lot of press conferences in our realm of work, John, is, to me, reading between the lines, he's left a lot of players out because they're not good for the locker room, and they're not good for the environment of the team, and they're not good for... I read a stat the other day, and it was about the US, with when you look at how many players play in a World Cup, a significant portion of minutes, it's not very many players, largely it's your core group of players, and a lot of players on that squad will barely feature. So you need the best people for the training environment. You need the best people for the competitive nature in the locker room. You need the best environment of players that are going to bring something off of the bench and be motivated to play 5 minutes, maybe the whole tournament, but make sure they're the best 5 minutes of the tournament. I think that's where Thomas Tuchel is looking for tournament players as well. At the end of the day, it sounds crazy, but basing it off of a Premier League season isn't always what's going to win you a World Cup tournament, because as we know, And we see in all levels, I mean, look at Open Cup teams. You know, sometimes Open Cup teams are certain players shine in tournament football when it's everything on the line. So how high are my hopes for England? I'm trying not to have high hopes because every year I have high hopes and, we get let down. I'm not going to say it's coming home. It's already home for me in the US, right? The trophy is here. It's home. I am home now. But I don't mind it because I think when you look at a lot of these players, I'm excited to see what they can do. And I know you mentioned Tony, and I know he's playing at the Saudi Pro League, and the level maybe isn't the level that you would expect of an England player. But at the end of the day, I think it's 40 goal contributions in 30-something games. That still means the muscle memory of scoring goals, the muscle memory of being in the right players, even if you're against quote-unquote inferior competition, there's nothing like a player that is on a hot streak of scoring goals. So I'm hopeful. I quite like what Tony brings to the table in tournament football.
Yep, only played 2 minutes for England since Tuchel became head coach, but he's a part of it. And then you mentioned the locker room guys. I figured that's why Dan Byrne was a part of this discussion in the back. That he's a locker room guy who can be there for set pieces late. Yeah, I just wanted to ask the fan what she thought about the what she thought about the roster. You got New England.
When is the US announcing their roster, and are they going to do something fun?
Tuesday in New York City, and apparently so.
I'm hoping it's something really fun, but not too corny, right? We don't need Donald Trump pulling up the roster players, do we, John?
No, we do no. Sam the Eagle and maybe Mauricio Pochettino. I think it's some riverfront event made for TV that's going to be, I think, on Big FOX or something like that. But yeah, it's on Tuesday. Okay. It's on Tuesday, and it's going to be in New York City. And then I think they come here to Atlanta, and they're going to spend some time at the blank, and then figure out where they go from here.
Maybe I'll bump into Tim Ream in a local coffee shop close to my house. Who knows?
There you go. Your study.
Did you know it's Tim Ream bobblehead night tomorrow in Charlotte?
Does that mean the hair is going to be longer than the bobblehead?
It doesn't have a man bun. I'm very disappointed.
What?
Yeah, I know.
How is that?
It looks always holding well, at least from the image I saw. I will confirm tomorrow whether it has a man bun. I didn't see like a specific man bun, you know?
How can that be historically accurate if you don't have a man bun?
I know. All I know is that it was the funniest thing ever, to quote on Apple last weekend. Tim Ream is unavailable due to load management. Don't worry, guys. He'll be back for Tim Ream bobblehead day. He'll be back in the squad.
Absolutely true. How many times have you been to Montreal this year?
Montreal, 4 times in Montreal, and fresh out the break, July 17th for rivalry week, I will be doing Montreal versus Toronto. So I have the Canadian derby.
Look at you.
I did see that it was Charlotte versus Atlanta, and I would have liked the Justin Charman derby, but I will wait in the wings for that opportunity in the future.
Oh, fantastic. What's study hall been like getting ready for the Revs in Charlotte?
Good, because obviously I've done several Charlotte games in recent history. So know a lot of those players, a lot of those storylines. I know there's been changes of personnel since I was, doing every single game, but I've kept up to date with it, with a lot of the fans that are, still friends of mine and things like that. So that's been great. And then New England, I've seen maybe 3 times this season as well. So it's really nice when you have that familiarity. I love Marko Mitrovic. I just could talk to him all day. Former Reading FC assistant coach as well. So the minute you name dropped the Majeski Stadium, he had this smile on his face, and I was like, "See, I know ball, Marco. I know ball. I've been christened into good, difficult environments of football my whole life." But I think with Charlotte and New England, these games have always been very interesting. I did the reverse fixture this season when Carlos Gil scored in the 96th minute from an awkward penalty. So it's great to have that muscle memory. And then actually I did with Casey, we did the September Charlotte versus New England at Gillette Stadium. So I've done the last 2 matchups of these. So I love that because I have good storylines, good context, good memories. Luca Langoni to me is like the star of the show. I just think he is so good this season. I know he's been good his whole career, but this season has been a real big breakout season. I love talking to Marco about it because I brought up how good he is on set pieces. And, I forgot to mention, I know Carlos Gil probably is top of the priority list of set pieces, but he was like, no, you're right. We are trying to find ways to take off the workload sometimes from Carlos and allow Luka an opportunity to service balls in. So I think that's going to be fascinating. But then anytime Charlotte plays at home, they do look better. And I know their home record hasn't been as dominant this season as previous years. But I think they're going to be looking for revenge because that 1-0 defeat in New England felt pretty raw, I would say, for Dean Smith's side, considering they created good opportunities in that game. And then to have it come down to a referee decision 90 plus minutes is tough. I'm excited. I hope I get more goals than the last game in terms of just the 1-0 having to wait to 90 plus 6. I would rather not have another last minute penalty to call. As much as we like goals from the run of play. And John, should I set up my booth cam again? Do you think that I'd never done a booth cam before and it went like, people loved that thing. I was like, guys, this is like...
No, that's mandatory from now on, Jess. Now that you have discovered the magic of the booth cam with
It's
two of
so hard, though, to find a flattering angle when there's not much desk space. That is my one complaint. I feel like in Atlanta, you have the better windows where you can, like, stick it to the window and get it across. Like, I have to have it on this little tripod. So I'm gonna spend my off season figuring out a better way to do the booth camp. But it is fun getting to see, because I'm sure you know this from booth camps. You don't realize how your body language changes in a goal until you watch it back. And I love how, like, I look at Ian and it's like a moment of like, did we, like, particularly the Derek Etienne goal, right? When I look at it, I'm just like, did we really just witness that from Derek Etienne Jr.? And I never thought I would go viral in Haiti, but that goal call is pretty viral in Haiti now, so I'll take it. I was very proud of that one, honestly. Pulling that out my backside, like, you can actually see it where I made this smile of like, dang, I crushed that goal call. It's really, you're like, yes, that was good. That felt good to say. So no, I love it, and man, we've come a long way. But how was that? Did you call some of the Georgia high school finals?
I did.
There was some good results. I was so happy. I'm gonna give her a shout out for Molly at Jefferson. Is it Jefferson, right? Jefferson. Molly, is that? Yeah. Really happy for her. We've been texting for 5 years now, ever since we met, and nobody's deserved it more than Molly. They've come so close so many times. So I was very glad that Jefferson got it over the line.
Yep, and it went to PKs, and they had to earn it. And when you thought it was over, and it wasn't, and then they had to go back and do the bottom of the fifth again. And yeah, we had a conversation with Molly on the network that went a good 25 minutes, and with something like Molly, it can go forever. And I had to kind of like stop it because I'm like, no, we've got to go and do other things. You got to go do testing.
Yeah,
and
she's just a great human being, though, and it's one of the reasons, like, I just love high school so much. And even now, sometimes I'll post videos and people will DM me like, hey, I just want you to know you commentated my kids' final, back in 23, and thank you for that. It's so cool. So I was sad I couldn't make it work, but, I was in Montreal. No surprises there, right?
Yeah. Two of the more demure personalities on Apple TV, Jess Charman and Joy, get to do Charlotte and the Revs. As always, my friend, it's great to hear your voice and catch you whenever we can to come and visit.
Thank you for having me, and we'll catch up during the World Cup, right?
Oh, of course. Yeah, we ain't going nowhere.
All right. Love you, John. Talk to you soon.
Be
Bye,
good. Love you too, Jess. There goes Jess Charman. And so Jess is done. So Jess has, and Dell sent me the photo of the bobblehead. And I am surrounded by disappointment. I am surrounded by disappointment. I have no clue where this man bun is. I really don't. And then Dell sent me the photo, and I was like, really? Where's the man bun? Literally, that was the first thing that I was trying to figure out is where is the man bun? These kind of things, this is the kind of stuff that we talk about. These are these earth-shattering issues that we always talk about here on the morning show. And speaking of, I was debating filibustering until 10 o'clock, but it's like 9:59 and something. And so I'm going to go ahead and round off because we bring in another first-timer to the morning show. And to the show of chaos, this is his first time in. His first time in here is in the show of chaos with which he is contributing. and we bring in Nacho Garcia from Apple TV. Do you know what you've gotten yourself into, Nacho?
Hey, John. Morning. How are you, my friend?
All right. This is first off, welcome to the Friday show, which has its own mind and its own starter set. And what we like to do when Kirk Reynolds at Major League Soccer, he was the one who comes up with these ideas. We were like, okay, what if we got as many voices from Apple TV on one show in one day? And we do it for special events. And so it's like, season kickoff, beginning of the playoffs, MLS Cup. And he's like, well, since this is the last weekend before the World Cup, why don't we do one here? Right. And I'm like, I'm not going to complain. It's fine with me. And so I don't know when he reached out to you to do this, but I can't thank you enough for diving in and grabbing on with both hands as we do a show of chaos. Good morning.
Good morning. No, it's a pleasure. Thank you for having me here in the show, John, and happy to speak about MLS and about whatever you want to talk. Yeah. And you're right. We're super close to the long break. I'm super curious about how will be this long break because it's the first time in the history of the MLS. I don't remember before. Obviously, when you had the chance to talk to the coaches in the Major League Soccer, everybody said, mostly the coaches that are coming from Europe, they said, yeah, we have the same thing there in Europe, but it's not the same thing because it's a long break between two seasons. This is a long break inside of the same season. So you have to do 2 pre-seasons inside the same year, the same calendar.
Where are you? First question, where are you this weekend?
I'm going to Kansas City, Missouri. I'm visiting that city, and it's a great game because it's Sporting Kansas City against the Red Bulls, 2 teams that are coming in a pretty good shape.
And what has it been? What has gotten into sporting? Because early this year, we knew Sporting Kansas City because David Lee has said as much, the sporting director. Look, we're bringing in 12 to 14 new people. We know it's going to take a while. Rafa Vicky, I guess he knew what he was getting into because of all of the folks that weren't there and the folks that they were bringing in. What has been the difference these last couple of matches that you've seen in doing your homework? What has happened to Sporting Kansas City to resemble the Sporting Kansas City that we're used to seeing?
Well, I think that sometimes you don't know why, but you need to move some pieces inside the puzzle, and the main change, obviously, I don't think is the main reason, but for example, we had a change in the goal. Bukaty is not doing it anymore. The last games are the goal is defended by Stefan Cleveland. I think it's not the most important movement, but sometimes with another goalkeeper, you can change also the feeling, the chemistry inside the team, and sometimes it's a strategic movement. The other guy who is not playing, and he used to do it, is Manu Garcia, the Spanish guy. He's from my country, and I think he's not for a low level. I think it's more about thinking to change a little bit about the tactical, and it's not a bad idea because if you check the last game against Austin, with him, we could see a great reaction of Kansas City. I mean, he can be super valuable coming from the bench. So, yeah, I would say those 2 changes. Obviously, we saw more things, but I would say if we have to put some names on the table, those 2 are the main things that change it. Cleveland in the goal and Manu Garcia is coming from the bench.
And Sporting Kansas City, I guess, is directly responsible for the activity in Austin, where both Rodo Borrell and Nico Estevez are now looking for work. And it was crazy to find out, apparently, from Brad Stuver that the players found out online that their coach and their sporting director were gone. And now you have Red Bull taking on, you have Sporting taking on Red Bull. And I don't know which Red Bull team I'm going to get from a daily basis, but that's what happens when you have, 18, 19-year-old players that are out there in the baby bulls. What have you seen with them this year?
We could call this year the Red Bull New York is the High School Musical, no? It's something. Yeah, because it's yesterday we had the chance to talk to the coach. We were sitting a while with Mike Bradley, and it was one of the obviously the focus of having so many kids on the team is also is a good thing because all those guys are coming from your academy. So it means that probably you are not spending so much money in the in the market.
Mm-hmm.
Your solutions are at home, so it's super cool. And we were talking also about I mean, they could do this without the new facility. Now that they have one of the best facilities, developing center of the world. So we were talking about that. But yeah, it's a super young team. I don't know if they are in the bus singing simple songs or something like that. But obviously, no, it's super fun. And yeah, we have a lot of names that we can talk about, but I think one of the names is Julian Hall, for example.
Mm-hmm.
No, or I mean, we have a lot of them. Rubalcaba too. What can I tell you? You already know they work super well with the academy.
Well, and you mentioned Ruvalcaba and Julian Hall, and from 16 to 20-year-olds, yes, proper hydration. Yes, we believe in properly hydrated guests. It's always a good thing. With 16 to 20-year-olds, they came out of the blocks just gangbusters, and it's like, wow, hey, look at what's going on with Red Bull and Michael Bradley. It's fantastic what he's doing. You see what he's doing, and then those kids, they hit that wall. The bell rang, and they had to change classes. They're going from American history to calculus or whatever, and they hit that wall, and then they have that downstroke, and then everybody's like, "Oh, Michael Bradley, what's he doing with all the young kids? Come on, where are these veterans? He's got to play." You get this. And I swear there were people who wanted Michael Bradley gone after that first downstroke this season. And I'm like, will you stop with this? Let the man breathe a little bit and let the kids learn. I know that's how we are sometimes, but you get through that wall, you push through that wall, and I think you're seeing them come through the other side here early in the season with Red Bull.
Yeah, at the end of the day, you have to find the balance. And if you check the standings, the Red Bulls have been, except for a couple of weeks, they are being always in the postseason positions in the table. So we're talking about a team that they were not in the position the last year. So what can you say about that? I mean, the work is excellent, and I think the moment of this project is not now, but maybe they can do something interesting this year, But the foundation that they are creating for the following years is amazing. So that's the main thing. I can understand all the noise that is outside, but sometimes, as you said, you have to be focused on the things that you can control and not all the noise outside. And also at the same time, it happens with all the teams in the big cities. No, it's a big market. New York is a big market. Yesterday we had a NBA game of the Knicks. Imagine if the Knicks yesterday, if they lose that game, obviously they won and they deserve the victory. But if they lose, even after what happened in the first game, today everybody will be talking that this project is a disaster. And so when you have a big market, you don't have a balance. You are the best in the world or you are the worst thing in the world. So I think in another level, because we are talking about soccer, not about NBA, not about NFL, but this is like the same story. You understand?
Oh yeah, I mean, you went through it with Real Madrid. It's like, look, wins are great, losses it's the end of the world, and especially if you lose. If you're Real Madrid and you lose to ATLUTD and Simeone, then like the world's over. And God forbid there be an upset against Levante or something like that, where the wheels have fallen off. Doesn't matter if you played group stage of Champions League, you had like 3 matches in a week and the Copa del Rey and all of this. It's like if you lose a match, the world is over. Forget it. And it's just like, no, it's not happening for us. We're over. We're done. Break it all up and just forget it all. And I'm just going to go hide in a corner. I mean, that's usually how it goes, right?
Yeah. And the toughest part is for the coach because they have to talk every week before the game, after the game. In our case, for example, in MLS, they have to talk to the guys in the broadcast too. So you are kind of a representative of the club. So as you said, if you are in a big club like Real Madrid and you are the coach, that's one thing that I admire of, for example, of Ancelotti. He was how many years? I mean, 3 years in the last project and another 3 or 4 in the first stage. And I don't remember a press conference of Carlo Ancelotti when he lost the control or he was not talking about what he had to say, So they deserve that. We have to give credit to those guys that they have to be 4 or 5 times, 6 times per week in front of the media, and they know how to to talk. Yeah.
You ain't kidding, brother. Nacho Garcia hanging out with us for another couple of minutes. Nate Bukaty in the bullpen. We get to talk about his book finally. I've been bugging
John. You should do the interview with Nate in Spanish. You know that he speaks Spanish perfectly.
Oh, he does he?
Yeah.
Nate's in the green room and he's like, "Nuh-uh, brother. That is not happening."
we have an agreement when we are together. It's super weird. I imagine people that can be close to our table when we are in a restaurant, something like that, they should think that we are crazy because our conversation I'm talking in English, he's talking in Spanish, because we practice each other. We challenge each other.
Okay,
it's super fun. Yeah.
Forget the bullpen. I'm bringing Nate in now because
nice.
I can't resist this. So is this true, Nate?
Amigo mío.
¿Qué tal, amigos? Nacho, buen te veo. What Nacho said is 100% true because I'm trying to get better at my Spanish. I'm trying to improve every day. This, John, has been awesome for me because every weekend I get to go on the road and with awesome guys like Nacho who, and by the way, the great thing about the MLS season pass Spanish language roster is Nacho's from Spain. We got guys from Ecuador, Argentina, name the country where they speak Spanish. And we've got guys from there. And so they all teach me different kind of little nuances to the language, different dialects or accents and kind of different usage of words and things like that. So I'm learning a lot about the world, you know what I mean, through learning my Spanish. But it's true, Nacho, I'm always trying to get him to talk in Spanish to me, but he's trying to improve his English and I'm trying to improve my Spanish. So people look at the two of us and see me talking Spanish and Nacho talking English. And they're like, what's going on over there?
Yeah.
But that's the cool part, though. I mean, but that and from a philosophical standpoint, that's what's so cool about the game is that you have all these different nationalities coming together, sharing their own perspectives. And I can just, if the two of you ever have a disagreement at the table, do you still have to disagree in the other person's language?
I don't think we've ever disagreed on anything. No. So, it's pretty easy.
We had some strange situations, like the last time, you remember in the restaurant what happened?
We went to a sushi place. Friend? We had a little friend show up at the sushi place.
Never. Yeah.
It was a mouse ran across the floor.
Whoa!
Yeah.
Whoa!
Yeah.
Whoa!
It was the dessert. The dessert was coming to the floor.
Whoa!
And we were not at Disney World, so it was not the kind of mouse we wanted to see.
We'll not say where we were in that.
Yeah,
moment.
we won't name the place.
The city, not the city, not the restaurant.
Nacho left a good review.
He gave like a 1/4 star on Yelp.
I mean, you have some places in Japan where you can eat and you can pet with animals. So this kind of something similar, but we didn't order the mouse.
Mm-hmm.
He came directly here.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we've had some adventures on the road. The other thing is, how much Nacho's an NBA expert too, right?
We were talking the Knicks before you came on.
Yeah. Okay, God. Yeah. Oh, well, that's the Knicks in Atlanta. That's turned into something.
Don't.
Yeah, sorry. Nacho's taught me a lot though. It's pretty awesome. He's a great guy. And we have really good conversations. And someday I'm going to go to Spain and tell everybody that I know him, and I feel like they're just going to roll out the red carpet for me.
You have to pay double if you say that when you go to the restaurants.
That's I see now. As a Clippers fan growing up, yeah, you see exactly.
I'm really sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I was born in one of the many suburbs of Los Angeles, so for me, I was not a Lakers fan. Everybody else was a Lakers fan, so I grew up a Clippers fan.
That's the
John. You
easiest
were
way.
that was that during the Danny Manning era?
Oh, yeah, it was. Yeah, and the thing is that I lived here when you had the Danny Manning Dominique trade, and you could have shut the city down when Dominique Wilkins was traded from the Hawks to the Clippers. The world, you want to talk open rebellion? You want to talk tiki torches and pitchfork heading to the Hawks front office? You trade away a legend in Dominique Wilkins to the LA Clippers and get Danny Manning in return. University of Georgia basketball plays with the Hawks, and you trade him to the Clippers. I was kind of cool with it. Living here, I was still cool with it. But you got it was so bad.
I'm a Jayhawk, so Danny Manning's like the greatest, Jayhawk of all time when it comes to what he did at the university. And I swear if he hadn't torn his knees up, he would have been one of the best players in NBA history too, but he had those knee problems. Is that before your time, Nacho? Do you know Danny Manning very well?
I know the name. I didn't see him playing, but yeah, I know who he is. Yeah. And I'm a big fan of Dominique Wilkins. Yeah. I don't have the jersey here. I have it upstairs. If not, I would be showing right now my Hawks jersey of
really.
Wow. I have something better out Dominique Wilkins. You wanna see me? I can show you. Let me give me a second.
Go grab it. Yeah.
I have something that you are not expecting about Dominique Wilkins.
Wow. Okay.
This is gonna be great. Dude, isn't Nacho awesome, by the way?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I'm telling you, John, I feel so lucky in this job. And honestly, one of the things that really drew me to the game of soccer so much is the global nature of it. And I didn't have any idea when I started really following soccer that someday down the road, my career would afford me the opportunity to hang out with guys like this. Okay, what we got here?
I have to tell you the story of this ball. This is the Dominique Wilkins signature.
Wow. Okay.
And this is the company of
CBA?
Dominique Wilkins.
Oh, wow.
They are based there in Atlanta.
Oh, wow.
And, this company is the one who do all the floors. Not all of them, but 80% of the floors in the NBA arenas, in the NCAA arenas, for basketball, for volleyball. So the guy who take the money of all those installations is Dominique Wilkins.
Wow.
And it was super fun. I was covering for a long time the NBA for the broadcaster for the right holders in Spain, Movistar. And I was doing a report about this company, but I didn't know who was the owner. I was doing the report about this company is the one who do all the installations of the courts. That was the reason to go there. And once there, I was talking to the one of the two owners. I didn't know who was the other one, and he told me. And let me show you the office of my partner, the other owner of the company. Okay, let's go. And when I arrived there, it was crazy. You know what they had there? They had the big 21, the number 2 and number 1 that the Hawks used it when they retired the jersey.
Oh yeah.
They put a big 2 and a big 1 in the middle of the court. Those numbers were there. It was like, wow. He said he doesn't know where to put it. His wife said, no, not at home. So he's in the office. And that was the moment when I figured it out that the owner of the company who installed the courts of the NBA is Dominique Wilkins.
Wow.
They created it before the Olympics, before the 1996. They saw the opportunity, so they start to create the company to produce and for the installation of the sports facilities. And now, you know the story.
Wow. So, all right. So hang on. So now that Nacho's done this, I've got to find this particular drop that only Nate and I would know, and maybe people of a certain age. So let me play this drop that I've had for moments like this.
Now you know the rest of the story.
That is an American radio legend, Paul Harvey.
I lost audio. I can't hear it.
I don't know. Well, I tried to play Paul Harvey. I had a Paul Harvey drop, and I played it. And so, of course.
And now you know the whole story.
Yes, I do. Nacho, it is great to have you added to the stacks, my friend. I'm glad that you were able to come in and talk about things soccer and other than soccer. That was very
It's a pleasure. Thank you, John, again. And whenever you want, just let me know, and I'll be here for sure.
You know,
I'll prepare something. I think today the level is super high, but I try to do another thing next time. Okay.
It's all good. No, good to see you, brother. Thanks for dropping in.
Thank you, guys. Bye, Nate.
All right. So Nate Bukaty now back with us. And Nate, you got your ears on. I think we lost Nate's audio. And we lost Nate's audio. So I don't know what happened. So Nate was like, I know what
John,
happened.
I can't hear anything now. I don't know what happened.
I don't know. You sound fine to me. You sound good to me. I don't know. That was crazy. Tell you what, log out and log back in. So hang on. Let me do this. So Nate's messing with stuff, and so he's playing with like levels and things. And so hang on just a second. Where's my note taker thing that I can give here? Yeah, okay. So that was probably the I don't know what happened. I played Paul Harvey. Paul Harvey scared Nate Bukaty's camera and his audio. I don't know what happened. That was crazy. So I play a Paul Harvey drop, and Nate Bukaty's studio freaked out. That was wild. I don't know what happened. But no, it's great to add Nacho to the stacks. That was very cool that he had the basketball with Dominique Wilkins. That was wild. He's got a Dominique Wilkins autographed basketball, and he got to see when they retired Dominique Wilkins' jersey, the 21, then transatlantic. Okay, so we'll do that. All right. So now Nate is still adjusting his he's adjusting cameras and things. So all right. So I see you adjusting something. Oh, okay. There it goes. Whoops. I don't know what's going on with that. It's like he's logging on and logging off. That was crazy. He came in great. I played Paul Harvey, and then everything went in the dumper. So I don't know. Let's see. So here we go. Got you, Nate.
I don't know what's going on with this camera here, buddy.
Well, then tell you what. We'll just talk. I'll take the camera out of commission.
Here, let's say. Here we go. There we go.
Oh, there it is.
Hey.
There it is.
Technology is a challenge for me, brother. I don't know what happened, but I'm back. It's good to see you,
with you. I think I blame Paul Harvey because I played the Paul Harvey drop and then everything went in the dumper. So first off, sir, A, glad to have you back. B, where are you this weekend?
So I've got a couple of stops. I'm in St. Louis tomorrow for St. Louis versus Austin FC. And then and that's a day game. And then I head down to Miami for the Fox call of the Miami versus Philadelphia Union match. Okay. So I'm kind of excited about that because that'll be the last day of that'll be kind of the appetizer for Fox's World Cup, right? These are the last. They got a couple of games on Sunday that of MLS play, and of course that's the last day of MLS play before the World Cup. So, a chance to be a part of the build up there with Miami and Philadelphia. So those are the two games I've got this weekend.
Let me start with your first. Well, actually, no, I'm going to start with the book because I've been bugging you about coming on to talk about your book. There it is. Perfect pitch. There it is. And one author to another. What was it? You're just like, man, I've got to write this book.
Yeah. So, I've always wanted to write a book. I've kind of had one in the works for a long time. And because there was no deadline for that one, it's just always been in the works, right? There's never there's always more work to do, getting ready for my next broadcast, prepping, all those things. So it's always kind of been on the back burner. And then I know the day that I had the idea was April 4th of 2025, because that's when, so I have a co-author here. You can see on the book, Rustin Dodd, who's an actual author. He He's a published author. He writes for the Athletic. He's a senior writer for the Athletic. He's from Kansas City, and he's an old friend of mine. I texted him that morning because I was on a plane, as I usually am. and I was thinking about, and maybe you can identify with this, but once I was a broadcaster that did the traditional American sports mostly for the first half of my career. And it was 2006 when I just really caught the bug for soccer. I mean, like hook, line, and sinker, full in. This is my favorite sport. And I was just a fan for about 10 years, talking and talk radio in Kansas City and things like that. And when the Sporting Kansas City owners came to me and asked me to do their play-by-play, I'm giving you way more context than you wanted here.
It's a morning show. We got time and space.
Yeah.
So good.
So, once I decided to make the pivot and say, okay, yeah, let's do it. I'm going to try this. I'd been doing baseball, basketball, football, working for the University of Kansas and the Kansas City Royals and things like that. It's a pretty big pivot to go to soccer, right? As a relatively unexperienced soccer play-by-play announcer, I was really just a big fan at that time. But I decided, you know what? And my wife encouraged me, this is your favorite sport. This is your passion. You get this opportunity. You got to go for it. Mm-hmm. And so we did. And everything since then has justified the decision. You know what I mean? Like just that conversation we just had with Nacho, moments like that, that's what I wanted to be a part of. I wanted to see the world. I wanted to learn more about the world, and soccer is just such a great vehicle to do that. So once it started to become clear that the World Cup was coming to the United States, I got involved with Kansas City's bid process to try to become one of the, one of the host nations. Excuse me. And so I just decided back at that time, like, okay, everything that I do from a professional standpoint needs to be geared towards putting myself in the best position possible to be as big of a part of this World Cup as I possibly can. And to contribute, and especially in my hometown of Kansas City, which is by far the smallest city in the United States to be awarded hosting privileges.
Mm-hmm.
There are 11 cities. Most of them are massive metropolises like Atlanta. In fact, all 10 of the other 11 cities are top 15 media markets. Mm-hmm. Kansas City is media market 33. So this is a massive underdog story. And so I thought, you know what? I bet you would be really interesting to the people that are going to come to Kansas City for this World Cup to learn about this town and to learn about the soccer journey. How did a town this size in the middle of America become the self-proclaimed soccer capital of America? And how did it land the World Cup? People love an underdog story. And I just also think people don't know much about Kansas City if they've never been. That was the origin of the idea. And I just saw, and I'll give you another brief one, John. And in this job, now that we travel, guys like Nacho, I'll see Nacho for a game in Philadelphia, then I won't be in the same city with him again for 3 or 4 months or maybe a year, depending on what our rotations are with who's on calling what games. But we all communicate, right? We're all in the same, and we compare notes on, hey, what did you think? Hey, did you hear about the mouse at the place in Philadelphia, whatever. And so I would ask guys, hey, what did you think of Kansas City when you came here? And usually the truth is the answer was, it was fine. The stadium was really nice. And I would say, well, what did you do? And they would say, well, I went to the hotel, went to the game, came back to the hotel, and went home. And I thought, boy, if that's your experience of Kansas City, you're probably going to walk away going, not much to it, not much in that city. It's the kind of city where it's got gems everywhere, but they're all hidden gems almost. And you need somebody to show you around. So I didn't like that. I didn't like the fact that people that were coming to visit my hometown were leaving completely underwhelmed. And so I thought, I got to do something about this. So when I am in town and guys come to town, I will take them to lunch. I'll take them to some spots and say, hey, check this out. Hey, did you know about this history? And what I usually do is have a barbecue at my house. Wow. Barbecue is a big thing in Kansas City. I've got a smoker and I've got a football field that I paint in my backyard. So I have the guys over. We have some ribs. We tell stories. We laugh. We have a bourbon. We kick the soccer ball around a little bit, and we have a great time. And what was really cool about it was I did that a couple times, and the next thing you know, other broadcasters are shooting me text messages going, "Hey man, when I come to Kansas City, I better get a barbecue," you know? And all of a sudden guys started saying, "Man, Kansas City's one of my favorite cities to go to." And so I thought, man, supposedly we're going to have 600,000 people coming to Kansas City this summer. We'll see. I know the hotel numbers are kind of disappointing everywhere, but I still think it's going to be massive. And all these people are going to come to a city like Kansas City with no real expectations, right? No thoughts. Nobody really thinks about Kansas City, and maybe they know Patrick Mahomes now. If I could throw a backyard barbecue for every one of those people, I would, but I can't do that. So if I write this book, I can tell them a lot of the things that make it an amazing city. And it really is a fascinating city with an incredibly complicated and diverse pioneering background. It really is kind of like, and honestly, John, and I will say this because if your audience is probably going, why do I give a rip about, the history of soccer in Kansas City? The reason my sales pitch there would be, in many ways, Kansas City is the perfect microcosm of this country. And the reason why is because it's right in the middle. Everything comes through Kansas City. Northern thought, Southern thought. It was the Western front of the Civil War. So, I mean, the city itself is divided by the greatest divide this country's ever had. It's just, it kind of illustrates all the complex issues and problems and triumphs and failures and everything that this country's had. And soccer is a perfect example of that. If you think about the journey of soccer in Atlanta, you're getting way longer of an answer than you wanted from me on this probably, but if you think about the journey of soccer in Atlanta, the way I understand it, I think that soccer, the cause of soccer in America has been greatly advanced by the city of Atlanta. I think that the city of Atlanta, Arthur Blank and everybody involved, especially in that early run, showed America what potential soccer has in the South, which I was really skeptical of. Honestly, when I found out they were moving a team to Atlanta, I was like, they can't even fill up their stadium for Braves games when they go to playoffs every year. And it's college football territory. They're not going to love soccer there. And boy, was I wrong. 50,000 plus fans in this beautiful stadium. You can fill a football stadium in soccer in America. Seattle maybe had shown that a little bit too. But I think Atlanta took the ball and showed everybody like, hey, by the way, soccer can be this if you do it right. And that's what Kansas City did before Atlanta. I don't think Atlanta happens without Kansas City. When Kansas City had their rebrand and they were the first ones to build a state-of-the-art, like a palace. It's only a 20,000 seat palace, but it's a palace. And everybody in Kansas City thought they were nuts. What are you doing? You get 7,000 fans a game tops as it is. You're going to spend hundreds of millions of dollars to build a soccer specific stadium. And they filled it up and they sold it out 100 straight games. And now look at the rest of the league. Everybody else in the league has taken what Kansas City did and improved upon it a little bit. And so my point with the book is, I think a lot of people are going to come to the United States for this World Cup still thinking that we don't have a soccer culture here. I've already gotten that perception from a lot of people. It's like, well, you guys still you don't have a soccer culture. And sure, soccer's not the biggest thing in this country. And that's, I won't even try to debate that. But it is so different here now than it was in 1994. When we didn't have a league or any understanding of the leagues around the world. You didn't have supporters clubs with I was in Atlanta as an Arsenal fan when they won against West Ham United a couple weeks ago in a packed bar at 10 o'clock on a Mother's Day filled with Americans cheering for Arsenal. That didn't exist back in 1994. You didn't have a stadium in Atlanta getting 50,000 fans for a winning team. And I think that this book kind of, like, if you want to know how that happened, I think Kansas City's like a perfect example of markets like Seattle, Portland, Atlanta, name all these other cities that have come in to the league in Major League Soccer and have kind of taken their own thing and shown, hey, by the way, we can do this here and we can make it really something special. So there's my long sales pitch for you.
Well, the thing is that my problem is that I probably should have had a segment with Nate Bukaty, author, and then Nate Bukaty, play guy, and we're having to do both here at the same time, because what happened here with Atlanta United is that they took the college football mentality for the fan, and applied it to soccer. And so basically, because you've got the tailgating, you've got all the support groups that are there hours ahead of time, and the camaraderie that's attached, the noise that's encouraged in your college football environments in the SEC. So you took a team and put it right smack dab in the middle of the Southeastern Conference, where it just means more, because they let us know this. And you put it there, and you wanted to become the team of the Southeast. Darren Eales said this from the absolute beginning. He didn't want to be just a team for Atlanta or for the state of Georgia. He wanted to be a team for the Southeast. That's why he was doing games in Nashville and Chattanooga and all the places off the top. And that was to grow that to where it is. When you can add a Nashville, you can add a Charlotte, you can add all these teams in the Southeastern footprint that can apply what we know from professional sports and from college football specifically, and throw it into the soccer dynamic, and you get to expose it to that many more people that much faster.
And I love the fact that you brought that up, because that is one of the things that I actually think is a strength of American soccer that the rest of the world sees as a weakness. And that is that we are not monolithic with our sports in America. And I don't know about you. We just had this big conversation with Nacho about basketball. Yeah. Most Americans, even if they're diehard soccer fans like us, we can talk baseball with you. We could talk basketball. We could talk football, because you grew up doing all of it, watching all of it, playing all of it. And in other countries, they think that means you can't be as serious about soccer because it's only soccer. That's all that matters. And I actually think that's wrong. I think learn lessons from other sports that you can apply to the game of soccer, just like you can learn things from the game of soccer and apply them to other sports. You just used a perfect example, whether it's the fan experience, whether it's actually like ideas within a game, how you should play a game, how you can manage a game. And so, yeah. And I think the fan culture in the SEC for football in many ways might be the closest thing to the fan culture that you see in European soccer and South American soccer, right? Fans that will travel in mass wherever the game is, that make their entire schedule around the sport itself. So I think that's a great point. And the South has proven that it's a fertile ground for soccer, and because of Atlanta. And you're right. Charlotte wouldn't be here if Atlanta hadn't worked. Nashville, I don't think, would be here if Atlanta hadn't worked. And there are so many stories like that through the history of this relatively young league, and really, relatively infantile league still. Even 30 years in, it's a baby compared to the rest of the world. And I think that I think as Americans, we need to really show, this is our opportunity to show the rest of the world we have a robust soccer culture here. We have people that really care about the sport. And this isn't the same place that you came to in 1994 when we didn't know anything about the game.
And then you take it from the Division I level and you go further down. You look at Greenville, you look at Chattanooga, you look at Birmingham, you look at Charleston. You see the Division II franchises that have made their efforts. Women's soccer that is making its inroads. The college game, the high school game. We just finished our high school championships, and Jason Longshore and myself and a couple of us at SDH, we were all over the high school championships. And so we've been able to see on all of these different levels and all of these different pockets where it matters in that particular section of what's going on in whatever part of the country we're talking about. But in the South specifically, you see where it matters. And it's just been really cool to see it blossom, as you're using your word there, for the last X number of years.
Yeah, I write about that in the book. My high school experience was playing in a public park because our athletic director didn't think soccer was a real sport. We were in the inner city, and I'm actually going to go shoot a video from that place because I drive by it every once in a while, and I think we live out in the burbs now. My kids think I'm telling some kind of old man phony story, but it was a big empty lot with a few patches of grass on it. And that's where we practiced our soccer. Our coach was reading out of a textbook. He didn't know anything about soccer. I learned most of my soccer from the immigrants, the Latino immigrants who worked in the factories right across the highway from the place where we practiced. They would come over after work and ask if they could play with us. And they knew how to play, and they were tough, by the way. And they toughened us up and taught us how to play the game a little bit. It's so different now. My son's 16 years old, and he knew more about soccer tactics at 11 than I did at 35. and it's just changed so much in this country, the access at all levels. Like you said, it's night and day, and the facilities. I mean, look here in Kansas City, and I don't know if your audience knows this, we got 6 games coming for the World Cup, including a quarterfinal, which could be Argentina versus Portugal. Messi versus Ronaldo one final time. But also we have 3 teams that are going to base camp here. England, Argentina, and the Netherlands. And then Algeria is going to camp where the Kansas women's soccer team plays in Lawrence. And everybody that went to that place was like, you guys have these types of facilities for women's college soccer, like university soccer, not professional. And I'm like, that's America now.
Yeah, that's how it is. Okay. Buy the book and please buy the book. So let me put the author over here. I need to bring in the Apple TV guy.
I'm just going to show them one more time in case they wonder about the title. Perfect pitch. There you go.
There it is. Perfect pitch.
Yeah.
What in the wide world of sports happened in Austin?
Listen, there's 2 sides to that story. One is all of a sudden, out of nowhere, Sporting Kansas City played by far their 2 best games of the year back to back. They did the same thing to the LA Galaxy, and Devon and I were on the call for both of those games. I don't know where it came from. I don't know if that's more about what the other 2 teams had going on or more about Sporting. I think it's a little bit about both. Okay. But let's take it from the Austin side. They had just come off a 5-0 loss at San Diego. And we were kind of expecting a bounce back, because usually in this league, when you see a team get put to the sword, the next game they bounce back. I usually kind of look at those win probabilities that we do, and I say, I'm going to go ahead and back the team that just got throttled last time around, because in this league, it's, momentum is a fickle thing. And so that's what I expected. And honestly, Sporting dominated that game. They dominated the first 45 minutes. They were down 1-0 with, because it was a great goal by Dessler, who caught a ball off the volley in the penalty area. That was only the 3rd touch that Austin had in the opponent's penalty area the whole first half. And I thought, well, we'll see what happens in the second half. Came out, second half was the same story. Outside of about a 5 or 10 minute stretch late in the second half, Sporting dominated the second half as well, and they finally got their 2 goals. And then, the sporting director and the head coach got fired right afterwards. I think this Austin side doesn't have a clear identity. I don't think that Rodolfo Borrell really, when I talk to the front office execs about the teams in the league, there are certain teams where it's like, what they're trying to do and how they're trying to do it, and what their system is, what their organization is, what they're trying to build. Then there's other teams where you're like, it just seems like they're kind of signing players, and I think that's the sense I've gotten about Austin for the last couple of years. And it doesn't mean they signed bad players. Facundo Torres is a good player, but I don't think he's a great player. I think that, he kind of showed in Orlando that he could get you to a certain level, but the guys that go win the trophies convert at a little higher rate. They do some things that he hasn't shown he can bring yet. Brandon Vasquez has been hurt. He's barely even played. They've had injuries in the midfield that have caused them problems as well, and injuries on the back line. But the problem with that is, John, look around this league and show me the team that hasn't had to deal with some injury problems.
Yep.
And so the coach, the ownership doesn't want to hear that as an excuse. So, it has not gone the way they've wanted, and I think they're going to hit a hard reset button here over this. A lot of teams, I think, are going to make big changes in this summer transfer window.
And I think you're talking to someone who's based in a market where you might be seeing some of that too.
Yeah.
Let me go to match number 2 on your weekend doubleheader. What in the wide world of sports is happening in Philadelphia?
Man, why are you starting with the negative stuff, John? We should have talked about how St. Louis is playing in the semifinals of the U.S. Open Cup for the first time ever, a city that is richer in U.S. Open Cup history than any city.
And they've done it after they got rid of Joao Klaus.
Yeah, unbelievable. That being said, what's wrong with Philadelphia? Man, year number 2 for Bradley Carnell is a problem again. And is it Bradley Carnell? Is it a weird set of circumstances? That Philadelphia side lost some really good players. that's a Philadelphia organization that does not go out and spend big money, and they sell players. So you've got to keep, churning out new things. I'm not sure how good the system fits some of the players they have now. I'm not sure that system fits Kevin Sullivan really, really well. Talking to Bradley Carnell, and we're going to have a chance to talk to him today. The last time we did one of his games, he talked about, they're not getting production from their strikers at all. And that means they're not scoring goals. And he used a line that sometimes they feel like the system is the playmaker for them, right? Because they're going to overwhelm you with pressure. They're going to turn you over quickly, and 2 passes later, before you can organize, you've got a goal. And that's great in theory, but I think sometimes in the modern game of soccer, we can think that the system is more important than the players. Mm-hmm. I still think it's a player's game. And you got to have some guys that can go do some special things. Yeah, they might need to fit the system, but they also have to be able to go out and score a goal. They need to go out and make something happen. It's funny, like this is a tangent, but like in Cincinnati this year, that was their idea, was we're going to improve our goal scoring by changing the way we play, because on the players just making plays with Denke and Evander doing something special. Sometimes that can work, but I think in Philadelphia right now, the system is not making the plays the way that they need it to.
Okay. Someone who's identifying himself as Lord Farquaad is trying to come in from the green room.
Oh, boy.
Oi, donkey. Oi, donkey.
The Prince of Tulak, Lord Farquaad himself, is here this morning.
I don't feel like I'm the prince of anything right now with the early morning wake-up call on this. There's no one in this airport.
Are you changing planes in Atlanta right now? What are you doing?
We're well past that, my friend. I just landed in St. Louis.
Lambert, yeah.
I'm in Psychoville, and Finkel's the mayor.
Wow. Now that we have the hot tag going here, the ground rules, both of you. Nate, for you to continue with your day, you have to have a question for the person who has entered the fray here.
PG.
So your question, Nate Bukaty, for Devon Kerr, so you can continue with your day off the hot tag.
So, John, I don't know if you know this, but Devon Kerr in a previous life worked in the restaurant and beverage industry. So he's like an amateur sommelier and like a foodie of the highest order. So anytime we travel, he has some spot I've never heard of where you can get a Himalayan dumpling that you've never had before and all that stuff. So Devon, the greatest hidden gem of a food item that you've discovered during your travels in Major League Soccer?
Oh, he already knows the answer. He lined it up for me perfectly. You don't? Really? I'm shocked by this.
I have an idea, but I don't. I'm not sure what you're going to say.
Well, I am shocked that he doesn't know directly, but as soon as I say it, he's going to know. So my favorite food spot is this tiny little place in Columbus, and it is momos. Now, for people that are unfamiliar with momos are a type of dumpling. They're Nepalese, and the dough is different than what you would get in a gyoza. I consider it kind of like a cross between it's more gyoza-ish, usually round in shape, but it does have a softer texture to it, not like a bao, but sweeter like that. The filling is usually veggie, chicken, and some sort of variation of a pork. It's usually always spicy. There are Far East influences with spices. I stumbled on it in 2023. Tyler Terrence was chasing a young lady. Fortunately enough, now they're married. But he kicked me to the curb, and I was on my own, and I stumbled into this little place. And I swear by it. It sits 4 people at the counter. They became very well known years ago on diners, drive-ins, and dives with Guy Fieri. I took Nate there for his first time. The family is incredible. The woman who owns it is super, super nice, and it's next level food, man. The whole market, North End Market in Columbus, is one of my favorite places to go. But I think it's called Momo Dien. Their food in North End Market is truly, like, I would get on a plane right now if I wasn't a slave to the trade and would go eat every single meal there. And I almost did, to be fair. What was that, 3 weeks ago? Nate just saw me randomly toning up at the counter.
On that place. North End Market is a phenomenal place all the way around. There's so much great food there. I thought that would be what Devon would say, but I wasn't sure. You know, maybe there's a spot I haven't been to with him yet. But yeah, Devon's got like the best food recommendations of anybody in the league. So there you go.
Nate Bukaty, author, Perfect Pitch, and sommelier in training and learning a bunch of different languages. So he gets to be our LaRousse, a bunch of different stuff. Nate, thanks for spending a lot of time with us here on a Friday on the show Chaos, and go get some brunch. We'll see you soon, my friend.
Thank you, guys. See you, John. See you, Lord Farquaad.
Lord Farquaad, exactly.
See you later, donkey.
Wow.
What's up, man?
Where are you in Lambert? Are you getting your nuggets? What are you doing?
Well, here's the problem. For some reason, the StreamYard, when I click off for a second, it's closing it out altogether. So I have to keep it open on my phone to be able to work. I'm in some little side alley. I don't know. I think should probably be quiet. I'm on the side away from baggage claim.
Okay.
But I see people walking by with badges. There's lockers over there. I wouldn't say that I've ventured into unrestricted TSA territory. I would, however, say that I'm not that far off. You know, and my pass isn't exactly. So we need to be a little bit careful. We don't cross the line in enemy territory.
Yeah, or that you try to pilot a plane and try to go home from Lambert and end up on the tarmac.
Yeah, and I can't get in an Uber yet either. So I'll just sit here and talk to you fine people.
Okay, I'm not going to keep you for long because you're there in town. When are you catching up with folks to get smart?
I am in Central Time now, so 11:30. So I have an hour and 39 minutes to figure out exactly what's going on in everybody's lives. And certainly listening to my partner, I tell you, we're on that Miami-Philly game for Fox on Sunday, and I think he and I are going to have some disagreements about what's going on in the land of brotherly love. Just saying.
So then you, sir, in pointer count, when it comes to Philly, what is your initial salvo going to be?
Listen, I'm all for the idea that they've look, and this is not hard to figure out, like, they've lost quality and quantity, right? Yeah, they sold the big names, okay. They sold impactful players. Their roster is short. The players they brought in are inexperienced, and the players that are there are inexperienced as well. Nate was talking about the system. I don't think you burn the system down based upon what's currently at hand. It's something that has been in place for quite some time, and it has benefited that organization, regardless of coach or players that have come through. Now, I do believe as a manager that you can tweak your system or that you can change systems to benefit within the season. But I don't think that benefits this project as a whole. I disagree with him that the system doesn't benefit Kevin Sullivan. He's so young and impressionable. You need a player that's two-way, that's not fine-tuned in one area of the field. And that kid's going to work his butt off, and he has done so. They're just decimated with lack of quality in the roster and health. And that's where they're at. So you're just trying to get yourself to the end. I mean, you know, we're on the Austin-St. Louis game. I'm not comparing Austin and Philly in terms of quality of roster. Austin has a better roster, but at the same point in time, talking with Davey Arnaud, it's kind of like, what are you going to get out of that game, right? You're heading into one game right now. All due respect to every single team, you can't carry momentum for 2 months, John. It's just not a thing. So get 3 points. If I'm a manager this weekend on any single team, get 3 points, get out, hit the reset button. And that's kind of what we're hearing around the league so far from everybody.
Austin, Nate said that they basically looked like they were just signing folks to make them DPs. And you spent a lot of money, you didn't get a whole lot of return. And now, after what happened with Austin, you lose by 5 in San Diego, you lose Sporting. No more Roto Borrell, no more Nico Estevez. Word was Brad Stuver. If they found on social media, they didn't have either one anymore. What's going on there?
That's a joke. It was actually the first thing I woke up to, courtesy of my broadcast partner, was the link to the interview of Brad Stuver saying that, yes, in fact, they did find out from social media. If I was a player, I would be irate that was the situation. I do agree with the dismissal of the front office. It is difficult for me to say I agree with the dismissal of Nico Estevez, only understanding tactically what he can provide and as well as his relationship with players. However, I do get it. If things are going in the opposite direction. Now, I'd be quick to point out to everybody, like, what are you supposed to do as a manager, respectfully, with that type of roster? They overspent, to your point, on players that do not have the pedigree to be able to pay for that money. And the players that you either did spend money on or that you rely upon, and this is in no particular order, Danny Pereira, Owen Wolf, Brennan Vasquez, Brennan Heinzike recently. You've had short and long-term injuries to not only them, Christian Ramirez could throw his name into that as well. Ilya was hurt earlier this season. I mean, I can remember calling their Open Cup game against Louisville, and you could see from a mile away that they were going to have trouble in that match, probably lose. And then Danny went out a second time. So as a manager, you're losing 5 players and you're starting 11, 5 big game players. What are you supposed to do, man? So within that, though, I do believe that tactically, Nico could have handled things differently. I'm sure he would probably look back and say, yeah, I would like to have changed and done some things different. But now they are also in must win. Get a win. And the mismanagement, this is very much an opinion, of Austin FC's roster. I don't just believe it's the first team. I don't understand what sort of vision they have for the club right now, where you have, I believe they're both 24 years old. You have 2 Spaniards on Austin FC 2, 24 years of age. They're not training with the first team. From what I've heard, they don't really have any looks or didn't prior to the departure of the 2 aforementioned individuals in charge. They didn't really have any aspiration of bringing them in. If you got 2 24-year-olds on an MLS Next Pro roster, what's the point of that? Meaning Spanish-wise. Because they're going to occupy an international roster spot if you're going to try to get them into the first team. So is it just about competing at the MLS Next Pro level? And they've got 24-year-olds competing with basically in a glorified U19 league. And they've got guys on that roster who can play. I'm not saying they need first-team roster minutes, but like there needs to be a more regular vision within that club of what they're trying to accomplish, not just in the next 90 minutes. Because all of a sudden, you lose vision, you lose long-term ideas, and if you're Nico Estevez, again, not agreeing with everything that he did, he was just trying to find a way to win a game. And that's a bad look. You need a long-term runway of how to build. I still think there's plenty of talent within the group. They should be winning more games than they are. They have a real lack of identity coming from the midfield up onto that front line. Brennan Vasquez will help change those things, but in the absence of all of that, when they build, they don't commit enough numbers going forward. They then open themselves up defensively. And again, there's just no real clear identity for that group as they approach this final game and break.
You know me, I'm always one to have a look at those conversations, even for MLS Next Pro and anything when it comes to discussing. Although this is not the most positive MLS Next Pro conversation to have when you have players sitting, probably could be on the front, but it's part of the whole thing. Before you get out of here, and I don't want you to get late, I don't want you to miss appointments or anything. What are you looking forward to the most in either a warning shot or anticipation in this World Cup break for Major League Soccer? What are you anticipating the most to happen with the dormancy of Major League Soccer clubs? Are you anticipating a lot of movement? Are you thinking folks are going to stand pat? What are you anticipating from MLS clubs coming up here in the break?
Well, anticipating and desire are 2 different things, right?
Yeah.
I do anticipate a lot of movement. That's based upon, kind of like what looks to be an early tweak and schedule change. That's easy for everybody to figure out, and how it morphs it towards the future for MLS and the European model. What I'm curious about is, as we've dealt with in so many years past, is being on domestic soil. How does the ability to maybe get in front of and relate to some of these players firsthand? I'm not saying everybody on World Cup rosters is coming here. I'm saying, are you going to be able to get in touch with some of the fringe players or guys that are right on the brink of breaking into a starting lineup from whatever country that may be? Face-to-face and hand-to-hand is way different than Zooms and emails. Mm-hmm. And I do believe that the art of communication and relationships in our entire walk of life, on this planet has taken a negative turn. So just being able to stand there and shake someone's hand, look them in the eye, share time together. I'd rather take 5 minutes with someone than 55 minutes over a Zoom. All due respect. You create more of a chemistry, a likability, and an understanding of what somebody's really about. So it's not just stats on a piece of paper. My hope is that MLS front offices can benefit from that, John, because I do believe that there is a real opportunity for growth for MLS because of the World Cup, a lot more so because it's on domestic soil. I mean, the eyes are going to come here anyway from a TV standpoint, but now you have travelers coming in with players following with their national team. Like, even if it's not a starting 11 player for Uruguay, maybe it's someone that plays that they know who's interested in changing a club, a friend of a friend. The footballing world is always 6 degrees of separation. It's the biggest, smallest world where, prior to this season, you and I had never had an opportunity to chat. Certainly, I never had the chance to get battered and beat up on the show. But, my old running mate, Tyler Terrens, had sat on your doorstep a couple of times hoping for room and board. But those types of things are where it can help give you the leg up. And I want this to be the second and third look after the departure of Messi and Thomas Muller. Like, I believe there is a real opportunity here to capitalize on the World Cup. And it's not just about signing a player for this league and making the team better. It's about the overall greater good of growth for MLS and really the sport in this country, because I think other teams can benefit from it too. And true development, understanding of the game for viewers, what the game is about, challenging some of the bigger sports within this country, and all of which comes down to, how many games do we have in World Cup now? 175? It's a joke. I know it's like 80-something or 90-something. But
14 billion, yes.
Yeah, bingo. So, the amount of games that we have, like, I understand there's a lot of negative press around the World Cup. I think it's very warranted, but I do believe that there's a lot of opportunity for positivity and growth within this. And we need to make sure that we're doing anything we can to capitalize on that. So.
You get an amen from the congregation on that one, sir. Daily double this weekend. It is Austin FC against all caps St. Louis City SC, and then he moves over to Messi and friends in Philadelphia. Miles and Points, otherwise known as Lord Farquhar, Devon Kerr. Text me your home address. Damn it. Address. I told you. Text me your home address.
I know. I need that. My hat that I got on, by the way, anybody who's ever in the South Florida area, I believe they just opened one up in Vegas as well. It says, "How you doing?" How you doing? It's not New Haven style, but it is. It's not. Doesn't have that cold crust, but it's solid. The pizza's incredible, and the reason I bring it up is I need a new hat, man. You can't roll out the same wardrobe every single week, right? Like, it gets stale.
No.
Alexander McQueen's rolling over in his grave somewhere because, like, the kid Devon Kerr can dress a little bit, and I just refer to myself in third person. I can't wear the same outfit. I can't wear the same outfit every day. Speaking of which, before I go, you said I get a yeah from the congregation. Mm-hmm. Here's my question on the way out, although understanding that you're the host. If one John Nelson was to lead a sermon, what would be up at the podium behind him?
Ooh.
And is it freestanding on stage? Is it something maybe in a religious form of stained glass of the footballing nature up on the wall? Or maybe it's something hanging behind your own halo. I don't know. You're messing with karma if you have your own halo. That belongs to other people. The halo could be a basketball hoop for all I care. I'm just saying.
I don't qualify for halo status. It would be no lectern, wireless microphone, plenty of room to wander. As long as the microphone can get me up into the 200 section to talk to folks up there. If I want to wander up and wander out, do that too. I need a sunny day behind me. I don't need stained glass. I just need a cool window where folks can see the sun shining in, the trees, maybe a little bit of wind, not a whole lot of sunscreen going on, comfortable clothes, and ready to rock and roll. That's all I need.
That's it? Just all those? That's it?
I need the weather to be controlled by my Russian weather machine. I need a
Nice.
wireless microphone system that works and an audience that's willing to go back and forth. That's all I need, brother.
What would we grace your flock with? Would it be beer, wine, maybe some other spirit?
Yeah.
You got to provide some sort of liquid courage eventually. Cheese and crackers, I don't know.
Mountain Dew.
Mountain Dew. Took the high road.
Because last time I had a drop of alcohol was New Year's Day 1990. So if I'm anointing folks, that's for them to have and for me to sit there and go, I'll be your DD. That's what I'm here for.
Respect that. I'll take some food color, and I'm here for it, man.
There you go. Be safe. Have 2 good calls, and you know that the door is always open for you, my friend.
Legend. Appreciate you, John. All the best, bud.
Pretty good. There goes the Lord Farquhar. He's going to go track down his Uber and find out where my rental car is at Lambert. So that is the show of chaos. And now that we are starting hour number 3, we'll actually get into the news of the day and everything else that we need to get into. So first and foremost, shout out to Kirk Reynolds at Major League Soccer for making that happen. It was a rundown of Sammy Sadovnik, Jessica Charman. It was Nacho Garcia, Nate Bukaty, and Devon Kerr. I figured once Nate was in that Devon would want to be in, so I offered him something in the balance of equal time. So 5 voices from Apple TV. It was great to have Nacho on for the first time. It's great to have Sammy back. It's always great to catch up with an OG like Jess Charman. I've been bugging Nate to come on to talk about his book forever. And like I said, I needed to probably break that interview up into 2 sections where Nate Bukaty, author, and Nate Bukaty, play-by-play guy, gets to converse with his color guy, Devon Kerr, where we get to talk about food. So that's what Fridays are for. And that was why we wanted to do it the last Friday before Major League Soccer goes on hiatus for 7 weeks, and then we talk about this World Cup thing across the board. So, we're gonna be grabbing folks all over the place to discuss the things, all the important stuff. All right. So since we are in Major League Soccer, here's what we're gonna do in added time. We got to break down your juice boxes. We got to look at who's upstairs and who's on the field. We got to look at the matchup in Columbus, and we'll ISO the ref crew there. We'll take a peek at that. We got to look at what's going on with Atlanta United off the field and with the academy programs. We catch up with U16 head coach Colby Childress. We catch up with director of methodology Javier Perez. Those 2 interviews in longer form will be heard on the network later today and this weekend. And we'll also put word out on all the socials about all the interviews that we've done. We did a lot of Red Clay wrap-ups this week. We caught up with 15 of the 16 winners in the GHSA. So we did that earlier in the week. So I was doing the math, and I think we're probably going to finish the week with 13 and a half hours of programming here on the morning show. And we could not do it without all of you, bottom line. So we've got to get into that. We've got to get into the UPSL. We'll get into Spokane a little bit and see if anything has happened there. The USLPA was none too pleased with finding out about Spokane Zephyr going by the wayside. That's another thing we probably could have talked to Devon about. But that is where we are here in added time. So now that we have discussed the games that our friends are going to be a part of, let's get you into the juice boxes and break down the weekend and let you know what else is going on in and around the sport that we talk about here Monday through Friday. All right, so courtesy of our friends at Odds Portal, here we go with the rundown of everything in Major League Soccer. And it is, once again, full weekend as Osipovici and Minsk 2 are in a goalless draw at the moment. Juice boxes, 255 tomorrow. All caps in Austin with Nate Bukaty, Devon Kerr. All caps, minus 147, draws a plus 320. Austin is a plus 375. 430, which means 440. Minnesota United RSL, keep an eye on that one. Minnesota United favored at a plus 110. Draws a plus 280. RSL is a plus 229. 730s, which are 740s. DC United minus 105 hosting Montreal. The draw and Montreal a plus 270. Charlotte and the Revs with our friend Jess Charman and Ian Joy. That is going to be a minus 125 to the home team. Revs at a plus 330. Look at that one, and the draw at a plus 290. Those numbers are huge. FC Cincinnati hosting the purple team. That one is FC Cincinnati a minus 167. Draws a plus 380. Orlando City is a plus 375. 840s. Chicago hosting Toronto at a minus 217. Your draw is a plus 400. Toronto is a plus 550. Nashville hosting NYC. Nashville a minus 133. NYC is a plus 359. Your draw is a plus 300. Sporting and Red Bulls. That one with our friend Nacho Garcia. Sporting is a plus 210 with recent results. Draws a plus 320. Red Bulls are a plus 110. 940s. Rapids hosting FC Dallas at a plus 135. Draws a plus 275. FC Dallas is a plus 179. Timbers hosting San Jose at a plus 150. San Jose is the same. Draws a plus 300. 940. San Diego FC hosting Vancouver at a plus 250. Vancouver's a minus 102. Draws a plus 309. LAG hosting Houston at 10:40 Eastern time at a minus 102. Dynamo are at plus 260, and your draws a plus 270. Crew and Atlanta United, 5:10 kick. The first of the three matches on Sunday. 4 o'clock, Five Stripes countdown. Madison Cruz, Abe Gordon, and the gang. There in Atlanta in the Imitation Palatial 92.9 The Game Studios, the Kia Studios, and that will start at 4 o'clock. Then it is going to be the match with Mike and Jason at Scotts Miracle-Gro Field, local radio option available with our friend Chris Doran, who was on yesterday. That interview is up on the network. Crew a minus 200. Atlanta's a plus 500. Draws a plus 350. Inter Miami and Philadelphia with Nate Bukaty, Devon Kerr. On the FOX side of things at 510, it is Messi and Friends a minus 244, draws a plus 450. Philadelphia is a plus 600. The night game, which is 9:15, so 9:25 on FOX. LAFC hosting Seattle. LAFC is a minus 110, draws a plus 280. Seattle is a plus 275. So now we go to who's upstairs and who is downstairs in these. So match day 15 assignments. St. Louis and Austin. Pierre-Luc Lausier is in the middle. Gerard Carrère, Lebuy, Diego Blas, your ARs. Ricardo Fierro is your fourth. Caroline Chenard and Craig Lowry are upstairs. Minnesota United RSL. Tori Penso, Brooke Mayo, Catherine Nesbitt. Amin Hadzic is your fourth. Armando Villarreal, Claudio Badea are upstairs. Charlotte and the Revs. Fotis Bazakis is in the middle. Jess, you're on warning. Walt Heatherly, Ben Pilgrim, your ARs. Elvis Osmanovic is your fourth. Kevin Stott and Joshua Patlack are upstairs. Cincinnati and the purple team. Rubiel Vasquez is in the middle. Corey Richardson, Oscar Mitchell Carvalho are your ARs. Alan Chapman is your fourth. Izmir Pekmic and TJ Zablocki are upstairs. DC and Montreal, Philip Dujic is in the middle. Jeremy Kiso, Matthew Nelson, your ARs. John Freeman, no relation, is your fourth. Jorge Gonzalez, Craig Lowry are upstairs. Chicago, Toronto, Sergei Demyanchuk is the man in the middle. Chris Wadham, Kevin Klinger, your ARs. Joe Sergen is your fourth. Michael Radchik and Rhett Hamill are upstairs. Sporting and Red Bull, Nabil Ben Salah is in the middle. Eric Weisbrod, Mike Nickerson, your ARs. Malik Badawi is your fourth. Lucas Zapala, Robert Schapp are upstairs. Nashville, New York City, NYCFC. Alexis De Silva's in the middle. Stefan Tanaka-Freund, Callie Smith, your AR. Sergi Boyko is your fourth. Kevin Terry Jr., Logan Brown are upstairs. Colorado hosting FCD. Ismail Elfath, man in the middle. Corey Parker, Kyle Atkins, your ARs. Victor Rivas is your fourth. Armando Villarreal, Claudio Badea are upstairs. Portland, San Jose. Timothy Ford is in the middle. You're on notice, Portland. Jose De Silva, Eduardo Jeff, your ARs. Abdu Njai is your fourth. Caroline Chenard and Mike Camp-Minert are upstairs. San Diego and Vancouver. San Diego FC and Vancouver. Drew Fisher's in the middle. Michael Barweg and Liaz Arfa are your ARs. Callan Radosov is your fourth. Eunice Marakchi and Karsten Gilwald are upstairs. LAG in Houston, Lorenzo Hernandez, man in the middle. Brian Dunn, Stephen McGonigal, your ARs. Christian Campo Hernandez is your fourth. Kevin Stott and TJ Zablocki are upstairs. Crew and United. Chris Penso is in the middle for Atlanta again. Cameron Blanchard, Jeremy Hansen, your ARs. Ricardo Montero Araya is your fourth. Daniel Radford, Jonathan Johnson are upstairs. Messi and Friends in Philadelphia at New Stadium. Rosendo Mendoza is the man in the middle. Felicia Mariscal and Brian Poschel, your ARs. Marcus de Oliveira II is your fourth. Eunice Marakchi and Joshua Patlack are upstairs. LAFC in Seattle, Remy Tucson is the man in the middle. Chris Elliott, Tyler Y. Rostick, your ARs. Elahio Adeguin is your fourth. Lucas Zapala and Rhett Hamill are upstairs. Now, we go to who scored, and we get our referee numbers on Chris Penso. We find out what his tendencies are, and we go through and check the fouls called and so on. when it comes to referee statistics. So, looking for Chris Penso. When it comes to numbers, he's 7 times already in the middle this year. He is bottom half of fouls called per match. 20 bottom third, actually. 21st out of 32. 24.29 fouls called per match. So, doesn't necessarily use the whistle, but if you take Alan Chapman out of the bell curve, then he is 21st out of 31 and really 21st out of 30 because Michael Vene has only managed 1 match and he called 24 fouls. So Alan Chapman being so far away from the edge of the bell curve. Chris Penso basically 21st out of 30, bottom third in fouls called per match. Fouls per tackle, about the same, bottom third, 0.72. Penalties per match, this is something to keep an eye on, provided it will let me do it. So right now, penalties per match, Chris Penso is 3rd in Major League Soccer. Penalties per match right now, 0.71. So doesn't call a whole lot of fouls by comparison. 3rd, however, in penalties per match so far this year, and it's not by much. Sergei Demyanchuk is 0.8. Ricardo Fierro is 0.75. Chris Penso is 0.71. And then there is a margin to Sergi Boyko. Yellows per match, once again, lower third. Chris Penso in yellows per match, if I could find him. Hang on. So he is 4.43. So actually, I take that back. He's upper third. Upper third in yellows per match, 12th in the league. If you take out Remy Tuchon and Rodrigo Albuquerque, he's 10th out of 30. So upper third in yellows per match, 3rd in the league in penalties per match. Fouls per tackle, lower third. So doesn't call a whole lot of fouls by comparison, but when he does, he's not afraid to use the yellow card when it comes to fouls per match on average. So every 5th on average, not knowing the context of when they were used, but every 5th foul, traditionally a yellow card is brandished on average by Chris Penso. So upper third in yellows, number 3 in penalties awarded per match, lower third in fouls called. So it doesn't call a whole lot of fouls, but when you do, expect a yellow card, and don't be surprised if there's a penalty shout in there somewhere. And when it comes to reds, red cards, Chris Penso has awarded 1 red card this year in his 7 matches. So red card's not really in play, but to know about Chris Penso, not a whole lot of fouls called, has been known to brandish the yellow when it comes to fouls called on average, and has called a decent amount of penalties on average in his 2026 season. So that's your rundown of Chris Penso in the middle up against Atlanta United in Columbus at Scotts Miracle-Gro Field on Sunday, the first matchup there that is attached. Breaking news last half hour, Robbie Keane has resigned as head coach of Ferencváros. Keep an eye on that. What happens there? Does he go to Celtic? Keep an eye on our friend Stephen Glass. Does Stephen Glass stay in Hungary? Does he go with Robbie Keane? Just a thought. So that's what you have for your rundowns when it comes to all of the folks in the middle and what to anticipate this weekend. When it comes to Atlanta United, things are going to be busy. Morning Kefsey, by the way. Morning Kefsey, morning Forecard. And morning David. Morning Transatlantic Bot. Morning Dell and and morning Bart, morning David, morning Michael, morning Ricky. Okay, so that catches us up there. Now, MLS Next Tournament heading to Utah this weekend for the start. And you're going to get a lot of Atlanta United U clubs that are going to be active in this process. I have two interviews for you about how things are growing. First one is a snippet from an interview that Jason did with Director of Methodology and Consistent Voice here with Atlanta United, Javier Lopez, to get his update on what he has been seeing so far since the last time he visited.
Yeah, this is a good question. This is the first time in history of the club that we're going to have 4 teams in the MLS playoffs fighting for the cup, and that means more chances to touch silverware. As you know, Atlanta United strives for being a reference, not only first team but as well in player development. And I think in the last couple of years we made big steps towards that objective. I'm going to start by saying that our second team is now fourth place with a game in hand. That we have very interesting projects, prospects, players like Arif Kovac, that he scored 5 goals in the last game and gave 1 assist. And we are very proud as well of the impact of players like Cooper Sanchez or Ajani. They are academy products. They are making the impact into the first team. So that's our first and foremost objective, beyond touching silverware or doing well in competitions, is providing players the experience to compete first team at first team level. So producing players for the first team. But we have our U18s that they will compete in the U19 category. We'll have our U16s. You know that we don't have a U17 team. So the U16s that they compete in the U17 category. And then we have our U14s and our U13s. So we have 4 teams that they will compete this year in MLS Next Cup.
MLS Next Cup coming up around the corner, and that is in Salt Lake, and hopefully if Jarrett has some free time. May 23 through 31 at the Regional Athletics Soccer Complex. Everything is all championship matches played at the Zions Bank Stadium in Harriman, Utah. So 2026, it is 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and 19. The All-State Homegrown Division within U15 through U19, 32 teams qualified. And we heard from Javier Lopez about the Atlanta United teams that have qualified. One of those is the U16s. And here is where we find out what's going on with Jason. Early part of the interview with Colby Childress, the head coach of the U16s, and what it's been like for him to be a part of what we have seen so far from the U16s. Here is the beginning of that interview with Colby and Jason.
How has it been kind of managing that with, a group of young players that I feel like we talk about this all the time in development, the sense of that frustration and that, okay, I want to turn this around from what happened last year, because young players don't always get that feeling. How has it been this season with them saying, like, we want to get back to that and win that last game?
I think one thing that's been interesting is obviously I came in mid-year with Will Bates moving into the second team staff. I moved in mid-year, and this was probably the group I knew the least. Because at U15s, I was a U13s coach. When they were U15s, we trained at the same time. We played matches a lot at the same time. So I didn't really interact with them a ton. So I think first and foremost, it was me just getting to know them on a personal level. Right? I knew who they were as soccer players. I knew the talents that they had. I knew the goals that they had. But getting to know them on a personal level was kind of agenda number 1. As far as dealing with getting back, I think one of the approach that I take with them is I would say I'm very process driven and not so much outcome driven. And so my challenge to the players every day is just be the best version of yourself every single day that you can be. And the talent in this room will take us pretty far, right? And I think that's something I'm a firm believer in. It's something that I try to direct them towards, because there's the short term, which is, can we make it to the make a run in playoffs, get back, right or wrong, if you will. But then there's the long term of, right, just because you achieve these short term goals of, let's say, winning a national championship, it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to achieve your long term goals as an individual of making it to Mercedes-Benz Stadium. So that's the way I kind of do it. I think the players they're a very hungry, motivated group. So getting back to the final has been on the back of their mind for a long time. And so I haven't really had to push that agenda. That's been something that I've been fortunate enough to have a group of players that just pushes that themselves.
Colby Childress, head coach of the U16s. And once again, keep an eye out on the competition that is going to be from the 23rd through the 31st. And we'll keep an eye on that for you. And like I said, we told Jared about it. So looking forward to what it's going to look like. It is going to be kicked off, actually, on the 23rd, tomorrow. The U15s will lead off the entire tournament in the round of 32, or Inter Atlanta is going to be the home team in the round of 32. And so you're going to have Inter Atlanta in the round of 32 in the U15s in their first match at 12:15 tomorrow afternoon, FC Cincinnati TSF Academy. That's going to be 16s and 17s as well. And so that's where we are. U15 through U19, 90 minutes in length. Matches tied, goes right to PKs. 22 matches, all 8 championships, streaming live on the YouTube channel for Major League Soccer. And once again, the 23rd through the 31st in MLS Next Cup. So keep an eye out on that for the growth, the continued growth here in the Atlanta footprint. So we'll keep an eye out on that for all of you. All right. What else do we have on the board? We got to get you caught up on everything going on on this or any other planet. Actually, we'll go through all the news and news notes and what's the word I'm looking for? High points, highlights, kind of that. So Thomas Tuchel named the squad. To kind of recap here in hour number 3. So it is in added time. Pep Guardiola's hanging them up. The new expanded stand at the Etihad is going to be named the Pep Guardiola stand. They are planning on a statue. The last match for him was going to be this Sunday, and we were going to just really see, and it was a great video that was put out by Manchester City and through the voice of Pep, about 3.5 minutes. So go watch it. And so Manchester made news on that. They also make news on the Red side where they signed Michael Carrick to a 2-year deal. So that happened this morning. England introduced their squad, all 26. Obviously, not everybody's going to be happy with every single note. We had just Charman on to kind of talk about it from a fan perspective just a bit. So we'll find out what's going on with that. And we're once again going to see what is going on in the Premier League for the last day of the season. Sunday morning, 11 o'clock, everybody goes. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see what it's going to look like. You have European places in play. I'm glad I pieced my way through that. European places in play. And relegation is in play. So a couple of things to, kind of keep an eye on when it comes to Sunday and what it's going to look like. So it will be a very, very, let's see, you got to keep your head on a swivel. Let me phrase it that way. So Brighton's pushing for Europe, but they've got to get through Manchester United. We find out who is going to be relegated. Is it Spurs? Is it going to be West Ham? West Ham needs a win, a Spurs loss for that to happen. Then you have Crystal Palace and Arsenal. Obviously, Crystal Palace, they're trying to, it's Oliver Glasner's last match in the Premier League before they go play Rayo Vallecano in the Champions League final. The Conference League final. Conference League final Wednesday night in Leipzig. Arsenal might have a bit of a hangover. Fulham, Marco Silva's being looked at Benfica. What happens there? Liverpool, it's the last day for Mo Salah and Andy Robertson. On a Slut, is it going to be his last day? Brentford needs a win. They need to try to be in that 6, 7, 8. So right now, outside looking in, they need a win and some help. Keith Andrews, probably coach of the year, although they're probably going to give it to Mikel Arteta. Keith Andrews should be getting a lot of review there. So Brentford needs a win. It's Liverpool. They need to figure out what Europe is going to look like at the 6, the 7, and the 8. Manchester City, it's going to be just a carnival atmosphere. And that the club is going to want to win against Villa, who's coming off of their win in the midweek in Europa League. So they might have a bit of a hangover. So what's that going to look like? Villa coming in from Europa League. Manchester City saying goodbye to a legend. All of that's happening. Elliot Anderson and Nottingham Forest, what's going to happen with them? With their matchup against Bournemouth. Bournemouth is going to be playing European football, so they're kind of decided. James Maddison, Tottenham and Everton. You have Sunderland and Chelsea. Sunderland looking for a historic finish. What's going to happen with them against Chelsea? And then you have West Ham and Leeds. So that's what you're staring at on the last day of the Premier League. Give you the numbers when it comes to standings and such. So just to give you a note, Arsenal favored on the minus side at Selhurst Park. Manchester City, big favorite at home against Villa. Villa, by the way, is a plus 800. Forest, a dog at home to Bournemouth, both on the plus side. Liverpool, minus side favorite at home to Brentford. Brighton, minus side favorite at home to Manchester United. Burnley and Wolves, Burnley favored at home at Turf Moor. Sunderland, a plus 260 at home hosting Chelsea. Spurs, minus 108 at home to Everton. Fulham, an underdog at a plus 188 to Newcastle. West Ham on the minus side to Leeds, and the draw plus 309. Standings. Just so you got them. Arsenal, we know they won. Manchester City, we know they're going to be second. Manchester United, we know they're going to be third. Villa, 62 points in fourth. Liverpool, 59 points currently in fifth. Bournemouth, 56 points currently in sixth. Brighton, 53 points currently in seventh, and this is where the fun starts. Bournemouth wins. They probably won't catch Liverpool because Liverpool is 6 goals ahead of them in goal difference. Villa could be caught if they lose and Liverpool win. Liverpool could finish fourth. Villa could finish fifth. But then if that happens, then you're looking at Bournemouth being locked into the 6th spot, no better than that. Brighton's at 53 points. They're in 7th. Chelsea is 52 points, better goal difference than Brentford, 8-9. Sunderland is 10th, but their goal difference is -7. A lot of things would have to happen for them. They'd have to win and get some help. They could finish as high as 7th if everybody above them lose. Newcastle, they've got a shot, but they'd really have to improve their goal difference. Unbeaten in their last 3. If they win, they go to 52, but their goal difference coming in is 0. Chelsea is 52 points and 7, +7 right now. Everton at 49, Fulham at 49. Once again, subsequently worse goal differences. It would be very, very tough for any of that math to work out. Then you go down to the bottom. Spurs at 38 points. West Ham's lost 3 in a row. They're at 36. West Ham needs a win. Spurs need to draw at least because, once again, West Ham's goal difference is 12 behind Spurs. Spurs at a -10, West Ham at -22. So if Spurs get a point, basically they're good. Then West Ham goes down, and then London taxpayers are responsible for $2.5 million in rent because the championship rent at London Stadium is different than it is otherwise. News again out of the championship. Spygate Commission has accused Southampton of a determined plan from the top down. Tonda Eckert specifically authorized in words in the report spying on rivals. And when the Guardian has, once again, and any time you have more than one writer on a story, that's a bad thing. Paul McInnes, David Heitner, Matt Hughes. The Disco there, investigating Spygate, found that Southampton formed a, quote, contrived and determined plan from the top down, end quote. Commission revealed Southampton had initially denied filming Middlesbrough in training before the semifinal, before ultimately accepting the charges. Tonda Eckert specifically authorized spying on 3 occasions during the year. Millwall and Ipswich are debating legal recourse. Commission highly critical of Southampton, no surprise. Middlesbrough initially reported observing an individual filming a training session on May 7 before the semifinal with Southampton. On the 8th, the panel reports Saints responded by saying conduct was not a part of the SFC culture. No video footage was captured, transmitted, shared, or analyzed when, in fact, the opposite was the case. They accepted the 5 charges against them in subsequent evidence given to the committee. Eckert also admitted commissioning the surveillance but denied using the material. claiming, quote, he didn't find the information useful and that it was wrong or that he did not have to regard to it. But you still agreed to do it. Eckert also forced to admit information sought was sensitive and that the club would, quote, wish to keep it private in the build-up to a game. Understood, Southampton filmed the training session in part to establish whether Hayden Hackney would be fit to play in the tie. Saints also given the 4-point deduction. Club had sought to avert a sporting sanction by pointing the panel toward a previous case involving Leeds. Panel said the two cases were sufficiently different and one should not set a precedent for the other. So Eckert probably is going to be up for his job. Hull's owner Ashan Ilikali said on Wednesday his club had received legal advice they should be automatically promoted to the Premier League as a result of Southampton's expulsion rather than playing Middlesbrough. Appears a little prospect of Hull pursuing that case in the next 48 hours, but they could also pursue a claim for damages if beaten at Wembley in a game worth a minimum of £200 million to the winners. Wrexham and Millwall declined to comment. No surprise. So that is the early returns from everything overseas. We also have the very, very rich in the financial sense, the football games happening this weekend in Wembley. Just to give you an idea when it comes to transfers, Manchester United open to signing Ederson, Gianluca Di Marzio, Vic Varange, and Darmish Seth. They've opened talks with Atalanta about a deal for Ederson. United want to sign at least 2 midfielders this summer, currently working on a short list of several leading contenders. Ederson had looked destined for Atletico de Madrid, but a pivot from the Spanish club, meaning Atleti, toward Wolves' Joao Gomez, another name on United's radar in part because of the financials, opened the door to United and other clubs chasing after the Brazilian. We mentioned Robbie Keane resigning from Ferencváros. Andre has committed to his future by Wolves signing a new 4-year deal. Club has announced. Now he is extending his stay until 2030. Club option have extending for a further year. Remember, you're also controlling the asset. You're controlling the asset in a situation like that. Newcastle have offered Fabian Schär a new contract. Hopefully he'll sign it. The 34-year-old offered reduced terms. He's going to need to understand his role in the group as more of a backup moving forward. Eddie Howe says that we were hoping for a successful outcome. We want him to stay. He's been unbelievable for us. Everton retain an interest in Harry Wilson, available on a free when his contract at Fulham expires on June 30. Sky's Vinny O'Connor and Amar Mehta. Everton looking in the market for right backs, defensive midfielders, wingers, and strikers. So basically everybody, short of keeper. And they're looking for a backup, so I was wrong. So Sky reported earlier this month, Villa, as well as numerous clubs in Europe, interested in the Welsh international. Lech Poznan have offered Niels Frederiksen a new contract to keep him from going to Watford. I would take it. Jens Bertel Asku has left Motherwell after a debut season to take charge of Toulouse. Brighton trying to sign Portuguese right back Costinha from Elliot Cook at Sky, trying to sign him from Olympiacos. 26-year-old player that they'd been closely following for some time. Joel Veltman is out of contract end of the year, likely to leave. Costinha has repped Portugal, U18, U19, U20, U21, featured in the Champions League this season with Olympiacos. They also signed forward, meaning Brighton, Charalampos Costulas from Olympiacos last summer for a fee in the range of £30 million. Thiago Silva is leaving Porto at the end of his contract. The 41-year-old rejoined the Portuguese club in January. 8 appearances, helping Porto reclaim the Primeira Liga title. 113 caps for his country. Now has to decide what he wants to do. Is he going to retire or is he going to continue to play? Lyle Thomas says the talks are progressing with Casemiro. Liverpool agreeing to, on the women's side, signing Sarah Agres after the expiry of her contract with Cologne. There's the picture holding the jacket, so it's official. So that is the latest there. Bernardo Silva says opening the door to Manchester City's new generation, one of the reasons behind why he's decided to bring a 9-year stay to an end, announcing in April he was leaving at the end of his current deal. Now, what to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it, brought to us by our friends at Fanati's, fntz.co/soccer down here. That link is important, helps them out, helps you out, helps us out. You get a bunch of different things to add to all of your streaming services. With Fanati's, you get BN, all the BNs, you get AFCON, you get everything attached, you get CAF, Champions League, African qualifiers, regardless of age group. You get the Polish League, the French League, and the Turkish League. Polish League coming down to their conclusion this weekend. You get TSE out of Argentina. You get TVV out of Venezuela if you want it. You get CDO out of Chile if you want it. And you get Liga 1 Max Pro out of Peru, a lot of the A and B divisions across South America. You get ties to Tigo Sports, CATV, Copa Argentina, Libertadores, Sudamericana, all the places. FanatisFNTZ.co/soccer down here. One subscription and one home. Tonight, Fox Deportes, the Coupe Gambardella U18s PSG in Montpellier started 20 minutes ago. Mexico and Ghana have a friendly at 10 o'clock. It's going to be there to the NA Univision. Promotion playoffs, Bundesliga B, Rot-Weiss Essen and Greuther Fürth is at 2:30 on the Plus, as is FC Tulsa Hartford tonight at 8:30. Fox O&E Serie B, Südtirol and Body at 2. MLSNextPro.com, Crown Legacy, Revs 2 at 7. Sporting, Kansas City 2, Los Verdos at 8. Tacoma Defiance in Ventura County tonight at 10. Paramount Plus, Serie A 2:45, Fiorentina and Atalanta. Women's side today, Boston and Seattle on Prime, 8 o'clock tonight. Saturday, just to give you an idea. USL Championship Nightside, CBS Sports Network. MLS, it is St. Louis City and Austin. German Cup, Fox, ESPN Deportes at 1. Fox Deportes noon, Serie A, and MLS simulcast. Apple TV, all your games. ESPN, A-League bright and early. German Cup, Scottish Cup, La Liga's last day. Everybody plays simultaneously at 3 o'clock. USL Championships, 8 matches there. 7 matches in USL League One. Fox O&E, Serie A at noon. Simulcasting MLS. Canadian Premier League doubleheader. Halifax, Toronto, Vancouver, and Quebec. You can also get that on One Soccer, which we also subscribe to, full disclosure. Fox Soccer Plus simulcasting as well. 3 matches in MLSNextPro.com, including Atlanta United 2 in Philly. We will have that one on the network pregame, 2:30 here on the SDH Network. Kickoff a little after 3. I'll be on the call for that one. NYCFC 2, FC Cincinnati 2 is at 7, North Texas, and Quakes 2 is at 8:30. Promotion playoff, Hull City, Middlesbrough is at 10:30 tomorrow. Serie A, Bologna and Inter is at noon. 2 matches in USL Championship. Women, UEFA Champions League final, Barcelona and Lyon is at noon, CBS Sports Network. Triple header on ION in the NWSL, ESPN Deportes, and Paramount Plus simulcasting, and that gets you to Sunday, which means BN is in Portugal and CAF Champions League. It includes Mamelodi Sundowns. Big CBS has the NWSL. CBS Sports Network has Bolton and Stockport County in your qualifier. Liga MX, Pumas and Cruz Azul, leg 1 of the Clausura final. It is, now you have to pay attention here. Final day of the Premier League. CNBC has Crystal Palace and Arsenal. Fox has doubleheader, Miami, Philadelphia, and LAFC in Seattle. That's Big Fox. FS2, doubleheader, Canadian Championship. NBC, Tottenham and Everton. USA, West Ham and Leeds. BSBN, BN and Espanol, simulcasting Portuguese Cup CAF Champions League. Apple has 3 matches in MLS. Golazo has Monterey Bay, Birmingham, late night. ESPN Deportes, Villarreal, ATLUTD at 3 o'clock Sunday. Fox Deportes, Argentine Primera, Serie A, MLS simulcast. Telemundo, Tottenham and Everton. 2 to NA, Pumas, Cruz Azul. Universo, West Ham and Leeds. Univision, Pumas, Cruz Azul. ESPN Plus, La Liga 2, their last day. They're playing all at 12:30. League 1, 7 o'clock. Fox O&E, Argentine Primera, Serie A, MLS Canadian Championship. MLS Next Pro, 3, 6, 9 matches going on Big Sunday in MLS Next Pro. Paramount Plus, League 1 playoff, Bolton and Stockport County. Serie A, everything goes on at 2:45 except for the 2 matches at 9 and noon. Peacock has access to all 8 matches that are not on CNBC or Big NBC. That's where they're going to be. So 8 matches on Peacock, 2 outside of Peacock. Women's side, ESPN Deportes, NWSL, Paramount Plus, NWSL earlier, W League, Jackson, Carolina, Victory Plus has NWSL, San Diego, and Orlando, and that gets you to Monday. Once again, brought to us by our friends at Fanatis, FNTZ.co/soccer down here. Okay, what am I missing? One final thing I think I am missing, and it is our coverage of the UPSL. UPSL is getting into their action this weekend once again. The story right now in the Georgia divisions is Kalanji Pro Profile. Here is our friend Andre Bomar from ASMG TV to break it all down for you, here is your update in the UPSL Georgia division. So once again, our friends from Atlantic Soccer Media Group, Andre Bomar, breaking down everything in this episode of the Back Pass, just to kind of prep you for the weekend, take a peek at the standings, and let you know where things are heading into the weekend.
And of course, we talked about Kalonji Pro Profile. You just got to look at several things. As amazing as the run was for Portros last season, I'm wondering if this run by Kalonji Pro Profile is going to be even better, because you look at that goal difference there, 25. They've had one goal scored on them. I mean, it's a complete performance for them right now, sitting on 18 points, 2 games in hand over both FC Columbus and the Georgia Revolution, who are both on 16. It's going to take a minor miracle and a collapse by Kalonji not to repeat as division titles holders. So something very good for them to use as an incentive for the rest of the season. And then we see Augusta Arsenal with that victory, very valuable victory against Lawrenceville, solidifies a place in right now in the playoff spots. Again, the top 4 will qualify for postseason play in each of the North and the South divisions. And then, of course, the top spot, the winner of each one of the divisions will play a playoff, I'm going to call it a qualifier to go on to the national picture. So a lot of trophies to play for by these teams at the top of the league. And then, of course, we have Red Top SC. They're going to be fighting with their last 2 games to try to put themselves in a position to be in a playoff spot if they can take points off the teams ahead of them, on top of them. So it'll be interesting to see there. UFA Lawrenceville safe mid-table there. But, still with 3 games to go, you got to watch out for a dip in form with teams like Angeles and UMA FC behind you. But LSA Norcross Pro, I talked about them, 3 games to go. That game gave them 3 points. It puts them in a position for survival as they play on. Now, UMA FC have some games to make up. There, you see they're only on 5 games. And so they have a lot of potential to move up the table with the games that they complete in hand. And so if they don't have that dip in form, UMA FC should be safe, but they do have to play the games. And LSA Norcross, they have all the incentive in the world to fight to get themselves out of that relegation spot. And this past weekend's victory will be a good incentive and motivator for them to continue on and try to find survival by the end of the season. So that really is a good look at both of the divisions in the Georgia Conference.
And that's our friend Andre Bomar, the Back Pass. You can catch that on YouTube. Go to ASMG TV, and you can find out everything that's going on there involving the UPSL, 2 Georgia divisions, and really the story right now is Kalonji Pro Profile. In all of their matches so far this year, they've only given up 1 goal. Goal difference of plus 25. So that's kind of where we're at. If you are so inclined, then tonight, at the beginning of the WPSL season, teams kind of getting warmed up. Drew Dickinson and I are going to be at Decatur High School. 7 o'clock kick for Decatur FC and Tennessee United. And it'll be the beginning of the season there. It's a friendly for Tennessee United because they start for real next year, but they kind of wanted to get the feel for level of competition, playing, and all that kind of stuff. So tonight at Decatur, it'll be on the league website, and team website will let you know everything. So follow Decatur FC on all your socials and get gassed up and ready to go there. And we'll start our WPSL coverage in addition to UPSL coverage starting tonight. Like I said, Drew Dickinson and I are going to be there at Decatur and looking forward to seeing everybody. Take your umbrellas or take your gear because it might be kind of dicey. So we'll keep an eye on all of that. I think that will do it when it comes to the day. It's been a full day on a bunch of different fronts. A lot of news to get into, a lot of different things to get into. And keep an eye on Atlanta United, obviously, as they get ready for their matchup with Columbus Crew on Sunday. Once again, 5:10 kick. So it is going to be 4 o'clock, 5 Stripes Countdown, Maddie and Abe from the Kia Studios, 92.9 The Game. and the Odyssey app. Mike and Jason will have the call for you, and then afterwards a full-time report with them, and then it will be the MLS break for the World Cup. And then we'll cover what happened in Major League Soccer on Monday, and then we'll get you ready for all the other things. Reminder tonight also, while Drew and I are at Decatur FC, Maddie and Jason are going to be down at the Arthur M. Blank U.S. Soccer National Training Center, because right now during the Adapt and Thrive Invitational, you had a moment of history yesterday, and this is going to be the end of the show today. You had a moment of history where you had a matchup involving the U.S. Men's CP national team going up against Scotland. Stuart Sharp, their head coach for the U.S. team, 99th cap as head coach. Tonight at 7:30 on the U.S. Soccer YouTube channel, Maddie and Jason will be down in Fayetteville for Stuart Sharp's 100th cap as head coach of the CP men's national team. Yesterday, bit of a slow start, down 1-0, but the UScpMNT moved on from there, and they kept it rolling. Here's your highlights on the call, courtesy of U.S. Soccer. Dan Helfrich and Savannah Jordan. Very, very busy first half.
Lindau steps. Lindau shoots. Lindau scores! Ben Lindau equalizes for the U.S. And quite a moment for the man who debuted in 2017 as an 18-year-old and since then has been a mainstay in the lineup. That's his 11th career goal for the Stars and Stripes.
And what an incredible response from the U.S. Side as well, coming back from that goal, being one down in that quick response time. And just like that, we're back at 1-1. Even match here.
Sullivan, positive layoff, a shot to goal! A brilliant layoff, and it's Josh Brunei converting the layoff from Sullivan. We've talked about Sullivan as a target player. You see the one-touch layoff with the outside of the foot, and Brunei makes no mistake.
Oh, absolutely, and that was the same play you were describing.
As Crumley moves forward, Crumley cuts inside, and an upper 90 finish from Jacob Crumley. And the U.S. extends its lead to 3-1, and we might see that on SportsCenter tonight, Savannah, the upper 90 from Crumley.
Yeah, what a beautiful finish, and what a response, too, after that water break coming back. And, you know, like you mentioned, Stuart must have really given him a good pep talk at that time. And as you mentioned, what a moment for Stuart as well, as this is his 99th game as the CP coach, and leading into tomorrow, which will be his 100th, and one of only 7 coaches to do so, along with some of the greats up there as well, like Jill Ellis and Tony DeChico. So what a moment for him and his response with his team today.
They would go on to win 7-1, 7:30 tonight, once again at the National Training Center. It is the UScpMNT. You might know our interviews that we do with Jacob Crumley, who is on that particular side. So it's a bit of a homecoming for Jacob Crumley. He gets to stay at home down in Harris County, gets to drive from Hamilton to Fayetteville, and he gets to play for his country. Did that yesterday. Tonight, 7:30. Maddie and Jason will do the same. So we're not going to quite make it to a 3-hour show, but we're pretty damn close, because there's a lot going on today, and I can't thank y'all enough for hanging out with us. And we'll be back at it again on Monday, breaking down the weekend and everything else that we missed. So thanks to everyone this week. Today specifically, Sammy Sadovnik, Jess Charman, Nacho Garcia, Nate Bukaty, Devon Kerr, all of you hanging out with us. And thanks to all of our guests this week. Chris Doran, play-by-play voice of Columbus Crew. Nino and Nico in the Power Hour. Joel Gold, the GM for Decatur FC. The 15 coaches that we had that won championships all week long. We had, I'm trying to see if there was anybody else that might have been in the listings. Abe and Bart and all the highlights and all the other coaches. Let's see. Mike Gramajo from West TV in Orlando. During Open Cup. Molly McCarty with her interview that is open independently. Let's see. So, Demetrius Eustathiou with the conversation he had with Jason about Children's Healthcare of Atlanta Training Ground and opening it up with the Uzbek national team. Andre Bomar with our UPSL updates. Colby Childress, Javi Lopez, and all of you. Whew, that's a big week. Back at it again, 7 o'clock tonight for Decatur FC with Drew Dickinson. Maddie and Jason, 7:30 U.S. Soccer. CPMNT action in Fayetteville. 100th cap for Stuart Sharp as head coach. So since it is the end of yet another week, which we have all survived together, you know what that means, is that we go and we wrap things up one particular way and one way only. Mucha plati, y'all. Play it safe. Thanks for being a part of our SDH week. See you soon. Trust me. We'll see you before you know it. Enjoy your weekend, everybody. We'll catch up with you all weekend long. Bye.
The keys on the typewriter had sharp points that kept sticking into our fingers. The dictating equipment started asking us questions, and our beepers sent electric shocks just through our body like a cattle prod. Out in the warehouse, the trucks kept banging into the docks, not even thinking about stopping. Oh, our frail bodies were strapped to the chairs, and our chairs were chained to the desks. Our pleas for justice were ignored, and the end seemed near. But we busted our slave drivers' little bitty balls. We've charged out of their brick fortress. The streets are ours, be